All right, thank you very much, Steve. James, congratulations on the fight tonight. Were you simply just too quick and too fast for Evander Holyfield?
I'm too quick and too fast for anybody to win with me as a heavyweight. That's about the line. You know, Jim, I don't know why you come up here. Don't come up here and try to give me no badass questions, try to degrade me. I will thank the God, thank you, was
question's legitimate. Were you too quick?
Evander Holyfield was a great fighter. Don't diminish that at any time. Holyfield's a great warrior. He came to fight. Bottom line.
Did he ever hurt
next? You? I got milk, baby. Who's next? My mom, Sherry, Uncle Larry. Oh, everybody love y'all.
Did he ever hurt you at any point tonight?
Bob Scott. No, he never hurt me, man. I'm indestructible. Don't forget that when I'm ready, I'm indestructible, baby. I'll fight anybody out there anywhere, anytime. Next! Who's next?
Detroit, baby.
Detroit.
Well, who is
MC. I don't care. Whoever Dan Goose line up, that's what I'm knocking over next. Bottom line. Goose and Tudor, we're number one. We're taking over the thing. You know that? Hey, my talent speaks for itself. I ain't got to answer nobody else's question. I'm going home. We're going to have a party. Oh, we're going to have a party. Everybody dollar me. If they don't want to respect me, fuck them.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 254th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings and joining me so far this evening we have Ozzy Smith, Rob Kelly and Andy Patterson. Hopefully Tommy will jump on soon because he will want to relish the hate, I think, for one Mr. Miguel Cotto. He lost in his last fight. It was his 46th, I think, or 47th fight and out. Jim Lampley was getting a little bit emotional. Dave Loback was getting emotional at home. Saddam Ali wasn't. He won by scores of 116, 112 and 115, 113 twice. What do you think then, Andy? It's about time Mr. Cotto bowed out, I think, whenever you're not taking the punches too well anymore, whenever the body is starting to give up on you, the biceps are tearing, the legs aren't there anymore. It's time to quit, isn't it? Cotto's getting out of here. Just tell me about this fight last night. Saddam Ali, worthy winner, Andy?
Yeah, in the end, I think so. As you say, hurt him multiple times throughout the fight, staggered him, right hands, left hooks. Just the kid was a fresher fighter. I mean, obviously we're talking about different levels now. I mean, Cotto was clearly diminished, clearly shot. If he's not holding shots up against a guy who, in all intents and purposes, is he world level? Well, he's got a world title, so that kind of probably will say to some folk that he maybe is. But to be honest, you know, it says it all when you've got Eddie Hearn trying to kind of shout right after the fight to try and make this Saddam Ali fight Kell Brook, and that. I think that just basically tells it. Ali, I mean, he's got to give the credit. I mean, he's had a good training camp for it. He stepped up, did what he had to do in that. But we all know that, you know, the guy that he fought there last night, Cotto. I mean, if he's not holding up shots like that, I mean, we've seen Cotto take punishment before. Generally speaking, he is kind of, he is obviously, he's got his toughness and stuff, but last night it was just clear as day that he's absolutely washed up. And you got a guy talking about retirement and stuff like that for as long as he did. You know, I think he mentioned about this retirement party happening, what, 7 or 8 months ago. So he, you know, obviously his head's obviously retired as it is. If you're already, you know, in boxing, you know, doesn't matter when you retire, that your ending's never going to be good, because boxing's always, you know, always kind of sees out the old timers, and they will always kind of go out with bad memories, unless you're Floyd Mayweather, you know, who can obviously kind of manage his career properly and stuff like that. But Cotto, you know, absolutely nothing left there last night. He kind of, you know, he had his moments, I suppose, but other than that, you know, there was absolutely nothing left there, and he's bowing out at the right time as well.
Yeah, he seemed, Andy, to get hurt in the second round, and that sort of gave Ali a bit of a boost, made him think, you know, I can hurt this guy, he's there for the taking, almost. I know that beforehand, a few people were talking about other opponents, and Errol Spence's name had been put forward. If you were Spence, you should have pushed forward, because if Spence was in the opposite corner last night, that could have ended pretty badly and pretty brutally.
And plus, it would have put another name on his record. But then again, you know, people would say, as if, you know, basing it off if Spence has stepped up and he actually dominated them and stuff like that, people are still going to say it's a short Miguel Cotto. He's not going to get a lot of credit for it. It's just a simple fact is, you know, he was a faded legend, and he's just basically got his, you know, he got his comeuppance in the end, I suppose. But, you know, not to say, I mean, obviously I'm a hater of Cotto. I mean, I just think he's, you know, his career's a bit of a facade, especially in the latter half of his career. I'm not wanting to go too heavy on the guy. The guy's, you know, he's defeated, he's retired, and so that's what I'm happy to see. You know, he lost the fight, he retired. I'm happy with that. But, you know, again, you know, just after he came back for the Margarito fight and stuff like that, it was just, you know, he's taking away Mayweather and Pacquiao, which, to be honest, he wasn't even in that fight against Pacquiao, he was semi-competitive somewhat of some sorts against Mayweather. He kind of gave him a kind of tougher fight than expected. But after that, you know, it was a facade, smoke and mirrors, and he played up to that kind of A side far too much. And you know, okay, he'll go down as a Hall of Famer, but he'll not go down as an ATG in my book. And it's just the simple fact is, you know, if it was a true ATG, he would go up and he would fight the likes of Golovkin. You know, you were middleweight champion at one point. You know, you would go up there and actually kind of like, you know, take on the best of the best. You know, your contemporaries did it way before you, but you know, that's up to him. You know, he's the one that's taking some of the beatings and stuff like that. He's the one that's building fights. He's the one that's getting paid X amount of millions and stuff, and he's the one that's basically said that, you know, it's not worth dying for. So that's, you know, that's his prerogative. But you know, it's just a lot of people are going to put him in a high bracket, you know, where he is supposed to belong in the upper echelons of box and stuff like that, or where his the final standing is going to be. I'm going to come across as a complete hater because I just do not rate him that highly on any list, so to speak. Because again, as I say, you know, his biggest fights, he normally lost them. You know, Pacquiao, Margarito, Mayweather, stuff like that. You know, okay, he had a good victory against Mosley and Judas and stuff. Yeah, but like, you know, some, you know, good quality fights he had at light welterweight. But I just think you know, his resume is some sort is, you know, okay, he's fought some good fighters. I just think his resume has got a kind of black mark in it. Some of that is that he's kind of like really played the A-side diva far too much over the years.
Rob, I don't want to try and be wise after the event because I did think that Cotto was going to win the fight, but I expected Ali to be relatively competitive, which he was. Some people are referring to this, Rob, as a cherry pick gone wrong. I think given that Cotto is diminished, and I thought Ali was a little bit better than people were giving him credit for, it's not completely out of the blue, not a complete surprise that this has happened, but do you think that they've got their comeuppance for trying to cherry pick a supposedly easy opponent? And what did you think of Ali beforehand? Did you think he would give Cotto a bit of a run for his money?
No, I didn't think. I thought he was a fighter that Cotto was capable of beating based on what I'd seen of him before. I know he was kind of heavy-handed. I guess I wrote him off after the Vargas defeat, but like, or his last defeat rather. But I don't want to take too much again away from Cotto, and I don't take joy in any fighter losing really. I just want to see the best guy win, and I think the best guy won last night. I think the cards are right. He hurt Cotto, obviously. Cotto, I think the period of inactivity as well is going to have to kill him as well at his age. He was clearly diminished. Like, nothing was working for him. But Ali was a bit too hesitant. Like, he had him hurt a couple of times, and I thought he could have stepped it up and maybe tried to get him out of there. Like, because Cotto looked like he had nothing left. It wasn't like he was going to the trenches, like trying to dig it out or anything. He was just tired and broken looking. So I think he was maybe wary of the left hook. I know they said that Jones said they spoke in the camp about they were wary of the left hook, but Cotto didn't look like he could get it off really and hurt him with it. So so I'm not sure really what, you know, how much credit to give Ali for that performance. I guess the Cotto Kirkland fight was the one I wanted to see, and then Kirkland obviously pulled out. I think that would have been a better scrap and a better way to go out for him. Like, it might have been an opponent who was a bit more dangerous even and make it more of an exciting fight. But it was a good fight, better than expected. Can't take anything away from Ali. You know, he's the champion at 154. Would he beat the other Charlo? Probably not. Would he beat Lara? Probably not. So maybe the Kell Brook, a cash-out fight might be there for him. Like, Spence, I think, would have dominated Cotto based on that performance anyway, and probably did what we would expect him to do with Cotto and maybe stop him. But Cotto's legacy, I mean, even a win against Mosley is probably questionable as well. It was a very close fight. The Judo one, you give him credit for, but he hasn't really had a performance, to me anyway, since before he lost to Margarito. But big draw, superstar of the sport, and was involved in a lot of good, fought a lot of good fighters, you know, regardless of the situation or whatever. He did fight everybody. So he wanted to fight Pacquiao after Margarito, and I think he got Pacquiao at the height of his how would you say it? His Alex Ariza term. So, you know, he was in there with everybody. So I give him credit. You know, he's gone out. One thing I would point to is what's going on with his family, man. They're like the Adams family at ringside or something. Like, what's going on with them? Like, I have to look into that a little bit further. But you know, good luck to Cotto in his retirement.
Rob, just before you run off, just looking at the next fight for him, obviously Liam Smith is being talked about. Eddie will really fancy possibly getting Kell Brook in there. Quite a left field one, I suppose. Someone was saying that they reckon they might try and get him back down to 147 to fight Adrian Broner, even though he's won this title. AB seems to manage to worm his way in somehow, even though he's in trouble with the law and doesn't seem to be fighting at the moment. His name seems to get thrown in there.
I mean, like, what's the point in that fight, really? Like, apart from a money fight, I suppose. If he's going to go for a money fight, I suppose he'd probably go for it against the smaller guy, like in Broner, who's clearly shown he's beatable. I think, Kell Brook's shown he's beatable too. I think Kell Brook after 154. I don't know. We'd have to see Kell Brook back in action. You know what I mean? Coming off 2 L's, we'd have to see him how he looks. But you would favour him against the likes of Saddam Ali, but it could be a banana skin that makes the Khan fight go away. I don't know. I'd have to see Kell Brook out again to see what I really think what he's like. But if he can fight anything like he was fighting before those two L's, you think he beats Saddam Ali? Like Liam Smith, I don't want to see that. Like Jesus, like that's I can't even. You know what I mean?
Anfield, baby, Anfield.
But this guy Saddam Ali, like we give him credit, and it was a good story for him. And I don't want to take away too much from his moment, but like, what did he really do? Like in a fight? Apart from throw a couple of straight punches, good fundamentals, bit of power, but he's nothing like. You're not going to turn on the TV to watch him again, like, are you?
What commentaries did you listen to last night?
HBO, and let me tell you,
aye.
Roy Jones was having like George Foreman-esque moments there last night. He was ranting and raving about Cotto's left hook for like 8-9 rounds, and we're like, he hasn't thrown it yet, like he hasn't, you know what I mean? He hasn't done anything with it. Like, oh, Ali better watch that left hook. Ali better watch that left hook. Like he's winning the fight by 4 rounds, dude. Like, you know what I mean? It was
the amount of times he kept calling him Saddam. It was obviously it was like listening to Bill Clinton back in the day and stuff like that. We're very pissed off with Saddam. You never heard Saddam Hussein saying they were very pissed off with Bill, were they? But like, Saddam.
Yeah, Saddam Ali. I would pick him to beat Liam Smith, to be honest with you. Ozzy, just looking at this version of Cotto now and how far gone he is, I suppose, does it say anything about the defensive safety first performance that Canelo put up against him? Or does Canelo's display against Golovkin just make that a point completely irrelevant?
I was surprised that he didn't stop Cotto. Canelo, I thought he would have took him to bits, and he didn't really. I think it's one of those that it was very dominant, wasn't it? I can't remember what the cards were. What was it? Pretty much 8 or 9 rounds. But I mean, you look at the past few years of Cotto's career. So he got him with Alvarez, but it was like a huge moneymaker for Golden Boy more than anything else. But like he beat a legless Sergio Martinez. He weight drained Daniel Geale. Bear in mind, these are at middleweight as well, and he was making Daniel Geale like he can only weigh in at like 157 pounds or something, etc. He obviously got him with Alvarez. Then he came back against Kamagai, which was obviously pretty straightforward. And They did cherry pick Saddam Ali purely on the basis that this guy isn't even a light middleweight. He's a welterweight. He was never ranked by anybody at this weight at all. He's come up, and I mean, I saw some pictures earlier in the week that barely any tickets have been sold, but it looked quite full last night. So whether they've given them away or something, and it's ultimately backfired on them. I watched it this morning. I didn't stay up, and I thought Ali, he hurt him quite. Looks like, not hurt as in like he was out on his feet, but he troubled Cotto with his power, and he's not the biggest of punchers, Ali. So that was quite interesting, and it was good to see that he got the decision, to be honest, as well. All too often you see like, oh yeah, these farewells, like, like the job on the cards, but no, I think that was obviously positive to see, but I think all too much was made like he was talking about, oh yeah, I'm packing it in after this, no matter what, etc. It's like Andy said before, it was a really good point. You're retired going into that fight already. You're already on the settee, etc. Things like that. So how can you go through a camp knowing that this is the end? Realistically, I just think it's all a bit. You're going in on a negative rather than as a positive. So yeah, it was one of those really. Liam Smith, Saddam Ali, early 2018. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, Michael Buffer, Ozzy sounded at the end like he was announcing a death or something, like he was almost apologetic the way he announced Ali's name. But I mean, the winner's the winner, regardless of the sentiment.
Oh yeah, it was a joke, absolute joke. He kind of just like mumbled it through. There was no, like it was just like, oh, I'm the new, and you think, bloody hell, like this guy's just become a world champion. Who gives a fuck if it's whoever has lost? Fine, he's retiring, and obviously he's. I don't think it's wrong to say that people consider him a legend of the sport, etc. Things like that for what he's done. No matter like, obviously people do dislike him, but then it was all that, and then bloody hell, the guy on HBO nearly crying at the end of it. It's like, get a fucking grip, you baby. It's not as if he's dead. Go and see him tomorrow. So it was an absolute embarrassment, that the way he was like, oh yeah, and you can see him tearing up. You're thinking, bloody hell, you get paid to do this. Stop crying.
HRT patches fell off again. Lampley's got previous for this, isn't he? He's getting worse, man. I know he's got a lot of emotional investment in these guys, but come on, fuck, as you say.
I didn't understand it. I thought he was taking the piss at first, and I thought, hang on, this guy's being serious. But fair enough, yeah. But the past 3 years have been a bit of a joke, so it's nothing new.
What about Freddie Roach, Andy? Do you think he should retire? Do you think he'll follow Cotto out the door, or do you think there'll be a few more paydays lurking for Freddie yet?
I've said that for a while, mate. He's just a gun for hire now. I think, obviously Pacquiao's loyalty kind of keeps him there, but he's all these kind of like guys looking for that maybe a second or third chance in the career, and that all seem to go to him. There's Cotto, there's Quigg. I'm trying to think of other fighters that's maybe kind of hooked up with him recently and stuff. Jean Pascal for a while did that there.
He has one of those MMA or UFC guys, doesn't he? Because he blew a Quigg off to be in his corner instead.
That's right, because Quigg had a fight recently. I remember him saying that. Who was it? It was wasn't it George St. Pierre? I can't remember. It's MMA stuff.
I'm not sure, but Quigg was fighting in Monaco on the same night.
I mean, he's been getting dragged. I think he got dragged in there recently, or two Olympics ago, to train the US amateur team and stuff without much success until the Irish guy took over. But it's again. I mean, I listen to him in the corner and stuff like. He is obviously ill. We all know he's ill and stuff like that. But I don't know if he's getting his point across pretty well and stuff. I just don't think. Physically, I just don't think he's capable of watching some of the things I've seen in the gym and stuff like that. He can obviously kind of like, put the body belt on all the time and stuff and keep getting like hammered the way he does and stuff. I remember Billy Graham kind of, he's got sore hands and probably rib damage, maybe even organ damage, stuff like that. Amount of times he's taking these blows to the body belt and that. You just never know. Remember his brother, what's his name? Pepper Roach. Remember there was did this kind of short documentary on HBO a few years back and stuff. I don't think his brother's keeping all that well, and he's got the body belt on, and you actually see the guy kind of working, teeing off on his body belt. This heavyweight guy, and that guy's having a fucking stroke and all that sort of stuff. You just don't know how long these guys can keep doing it. As you say, Roach, obviously he is a kind of legendary trainer and stuff, but he's had his time. He's not this kind of world class trainer anymore. I don't think. He's not bringing any, as I say, he's not bringing any grassroots fighters through, which I don't think he'll do. He's simply going to be a gun for hire for these fading ex-champs or legends and stuff like that, looking to try and work on something else offensively and stuff. Because we all know Roach isn't a really good defensive trainer. It's all kind of come action and stuff, come forward and that. But I think he's a bit washed up now, like.
He's a bit washed up. Talking of washed up, we're trying to stir up the body of Tommy Allen at the moment. He's having trouble with hangouts. We'll hopefully try and get Tommy on soon. Just looking at the undercard, quite a lean, mean undercard, actually. Ronnie Rios getting a win. Zachary Ochoa, who's quite highly thought of in some quarters. Angel Acosta, saw it on Box Nation. He knocked out Juan Alejo. That was right down at light flyweight, I think, or minimum weight, or one of those weights. Ray Vargas defeated Oscar Negrete. Vargas 30-0, Negrete taking his first loss after 17 fights. And if you saw anything in this one, Ozzy, Vargas, obviously we've seen him on these shores beforehand. He was a pretty wide winner, 2 very nasty cuts across the eyes. Negrete wasn't offering much more than a bit of a head here and there, trying to come forward, tough Colombian competitor. But every time I see Vargas, he seems to have the spots on his back and he's a little bit suspicious. See any of the undercard, Ozzy, on Box Nation?
I didn't. I saw bits and pieces of this fight, and I think I saw a picture of Vargas during the week, and if it was him, he looked awful at the weight. He looked really gaunt in his face. So I don't know if he's how long he's got left at Super Bantam or not. But no, it was relatively routine for him, wasn't it? Obviously, dealt with a couple of cuts, so it's obviously essentially, but it's a box to tick if he's never been Cup before. I've not followed his career that much, so it's one out the way, and then so you've got to look at it next and think like, is he going to look, to unify with the other champions now? See who's available, and then this is ultimately what you want to see. I'd rather see these than just like nothing defences. He's had, since he beat Gavin McDonnell, which was that at the start of this year? He beat Gavin McDonnell.
I think it was January, wasn't it?
It was really early, yeah. So he's defended it. That was his second time now. Ronnie Rios was his first defence, and this Negrete was the second time. Just looking at the champions now at Super Bantam. Where are we at? Oh, right, yeah. So, I don't really know. Yeah, so, Jesse Magdaleno.
Yeah, he's pretty decent, isn't he, Magdaleno? Yeah. That might be a good fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, that would be quite good, actually. That would be a good one. Depends. You've got Diego De La Hoya's knocking on the door at that weight as well, and he's obviously he's well thought of, and he had a good win last time out. So, no, hopefully we see him in potentially unifying now. He's a big bloke, but say if it was him in that picture, he looked really gaunt at the weight. So I don't know how long he's got left at Super Bantam.
No problem. Moving on. Just looking at some of the cards from over the weekend. Ashley Theophane, he's been put up for Bellew of the Week later on, actually. He's not good enough to... He's too good, to fight for the British title, but he's okay to fight for the vacant German international super welterweight title against Pater Varduashvili, forcing Mr. Varduashvili to retire in the 7th round, Andy. Theophane plodding the boards over in Germany. What a great guy.
Tremendous, mate. I was actually one of the scouts that I know. He'll be listening to the show tonight, I would imagine. He was at the show last night. I'm trying to remember what show it was. He was going to go and got cancelled. But anyway, I ended up going to see Ashley Theophane. I just want to cast your mind back, guys, and all the listeners and stuff like that. Just remember, this was the same Ashley Theophane just about a year ago when he was getting, mooted for maybe fighting the likes Ricky Burns and Catrall. Robbie Davis Jr. All the guys and that. Basically seeing he was a bit above British level, and he gets beat. I forget what card it was actually. I think it was some unknown fighter anyway. I know he's fighting in Germany. Germany must be well above British domestic level and stuff like that. The guy is so delusional and stuff. I actually feel dirty by actually even trying to get an interview with him once and stuff like that. So. Fair play to the guy. He is the German international champion. Whatever that means in the grand scheme of things and stuff, whatever gets my world ranking and that. But it's clearly Floyd Mayweather's making big pushes and big strides for this guy's career at the minute.
Yep, hopefully we've got a guest coming on soon, guys. Tommy's still working away as well. Over in France last night, we had Igor Mikhalkin. What beat Dudu Ngumbu, a couple of names from the past there. Michel Soro got a win as well. He was supposed to fight Liam Smith a while ago. He defeated Ivan Montero in a 10-rounder. I think Soro's career has gone a bit sorrowful, unfortunately. Arsene Goulamarian, I think he's trained by Abel Sanchez, 21-0, defeated Hamilton Ventura. And Mohamed Rabi, he's managed by Gary Hyde, guy from over here. So he got a win as well, defeated Laszlo Svilai. Never mind about any of that stuff. The Guru's on the line. Tommy, we were just about to move on to the Yigit Hughes card, but before we do so, do you want to say anything about your mate last night, Miguel Cotto? Unfortunately, not quite to be in his final competitive fight.
I will. I've not been a fan of Cotto, to be honest. I'm actually quite happy I lost the fight. He's always been a bad loser, the guys. I see he's making excuses again last night, saying he was injured and that. Quite happy with the loss last night. To go back to the Margarito fight, there was a lot of excuses made about that. He lost the Pacquiao fight, made excuses about that, about the weight, so he moved up. He lost to Austin Trout, made a decision, walked out the ring after the fight, didn't acknowledge anybody, no his fans, no the media, nobody. It's a fight he clearly lost. Done the same against Floyd Mayweather in a fight he clearly lost. He was robbed against Canelo. The guy's a bad loser. I never liked him. So quite happy about last night. Maybe no more special than a fighter like Tim Bradley in that for me was Cotto. So It kind of annoys me to see the amount of loving that he was getting today for people and that. And imagine if a Mayweather or a Canelo or somebody had done the stuff that he'd done early years. I mean, like no acknowledging his fans or walking out the ring after a lose, being disrespectful, making constant excuses. They'd have been slated, but Cotto seems to get a lot of love. I just didn't understand it.
Just finally, Tommy, what about Saddam Ali? Maybe find himself in against Liam Smith or somebody like that. Maybe Kell Brook might slip his way in there.
I'm pretty sure Kell Brook would like to slip in there somewhere. I think it's a winnable fight. I've never really been too impressed by Saddam Ali. I think Liam Smith could possibly beat him. I think Kell Brook would definitely beat him. That's a title here that's waiting just to be nicked. I see Charlo's calling him out today, so that's could be another belt for him as well. So I think he's there for the taking.
Excellent stuff. Stay on the line, Tommy. Also joining us on the line now, delighted to have a special guest, matchmaker extraordinaire, Jason McCrory. Jason, you hearing me okay?
Hello there, how are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. We can hear you great. I said matchmaker, but matchmaker, manager, cut man, is there anything you don't do in the corners?
I don't coach in the corners.
You got your hands in every pie, though. You're the matchmaker for Frank Warren at the moment, obviously with the BT deal, Box Nation. Things are going from strength to strength, would you say, at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I've been there, I'm in my 5th year now. And, Frank and his family, they've really delivered. They've had the hard times, bringing Box Nation through, keeping that going and everything, and now they've got the BT deal. So, yeah, it's all going from strength to strength. And I think you've seen that now we've been able to put together the cards and the fights on the cards that we really want to make.
Are there any fights in particular over the recent months since you hooked up with BT that you've been really pleased and really glad that you were able to make and it really came off as a fight?
Yeah, I mean, loads, really. I mean, the two, you were talking about Liam Smith there and Liam Williams, both two great fights for the public. On the undercard of Beefy and Liam Williams last time, we had Josh Leather and Glenn Foote, another great crowd-friendly fight. My own guy Leon Woodstock with Poxton. There's been some real great fights on there, real great matchups. Of course, we had Javonta Davis in, and it really is the premier place to be for fighters at the moment.
I saw you at ringside recently in Belfast for the Carl Frampton Horacio Garcia show. On that show, Mr. Tete, the South African, took about 10 seconds to get rid of his challenger. We're obviously looking at a possible Tete versus Burnett fight. Eddie doesn't seem too keen on that at the moment. Where do you stand from your point of view about making Tete Burnett? What stage are we at? Just have to hear what Eddie says and take it, that it's not going to happen?
From my understanding, they're open to it, but I think Burnett is not fit to take it at the moment, I believe. They're open to it, but of course he's not going to want to jump straight into a Tete fight. Plus, Tete does have his mandatory due as well. When I made the fight for Tete this time, I phoned the number 1, which is Omar Navarez, and he was already contracted to fight the number 2, so I just went down to number 3 in Gonya. And in the meantime, Narvaez won. So Narvaez is the mandatory, and Tete has to defend it within 90 days against Narvaez. So we've got that to take care of. But I don't think there's any reason why it can't happen in the summer. In the summer months, get this fight, the next fight's out of the way, and then in the summer months, try and make that fight happen. Well, certainly, from our point of view, there's no fear with some fights. We'll steer away from that. We'll steer away from this guy. With Zolani Tete, we just don't have that worry with any of the bantamweights.
Just thinking in your role as a matchmaker, obviously there's quite a few nightmare scenarios, wranglings over money, guys not making the weight, trying to get people in at the last minute. Any particular nightmares you can think of as a matchmaker that have had you pulling your hair out?
Yeah, I had one on the Belfast show, trying to get Gary Cully matched because, strange enough, there weren't too many takers for a big punching 6'2" lightweight.
Yeah.
Southpaw as well. No, there wasn't many takers for that. And on Friday, about 10 minutes before I walked to the weigh-in, I managed to get him matched with Kane Baker, who gave him a pretty good fight.
Yeah, he certainly did. Is the matchmaking all about trying to find as many contacts as you can, as many guys you can sort of call upon, you know, the way you would maybe get a certain amount of guys from a particular gym to bring them all over at the same time? What are the intricacies behind the matchmaking and getting contacts for fights?
Started off doing the foreign boxes for small hall promoters and TV promoters up and down the country. I did that for about 5 years. Worked with Frank Maloney. Dean Powell used to give me work on the Frank Warren shows.
Yeah.
So I'd already got a good handful of contacts, which were reliable. Obviously, you make the contacts in the UK when you're traveling around at different shows and things like that. And surprisingly, once you step into a role like this, you find yourself with quite a few other contacts that volunteer themselves.
Yeah.
So, it's built up over time. And I've got the ones that I can, the paperwork's quite an important part of it. So I've got the ones that I know are spot on with the paperwork and understand the workings of the British Boxing Board of Control. So I tend to use them first.
Okay. Just before we bring in some of our guys on the panel to ask you a question, just remind our listeners we've got Jason McCrory on the call with us at the moment. You mentioned small hall shows there, Jason. Just for any of the listeners who might not be familiar with the way these things operate, can you just say a word about the way sort of tickets are shifted on the small hall shows? The local fighters have to sort of be ticket sellers by necessity these days, and then they have to sell a certain amount of tickets to not only get their own pay, but also to pay for their opponents and stuff. Is there anything you can just explain about the way that works so our listeners can understand if they don't already?
Well, I mean, small hall boxing is the lifeblood of this sport. Without the small hall boxing, we don't have the big TV boxing. It's like the grassroots event of the football game, but in boxing, without that, we don't have the big shows. It's very important, even though we've got TV and everything like that, it's very important that they bring a following with them because no one wants to box in an empty hall. So, on the small hall shows, they have to sell a certain amount of tickets. A lot of promoters do the thing where you pay for your opponent, and then whatever's left gets split down the middle between the fighter and between the house to keep the lights on and pay for the security and the ring and the paramedics and everything else that goes with small hall promoting. The
British Boxing Board as well and all their fees.
Well, I mean, the British Boxing Board, you have to pay them board tax, but they're inspectors and that, they, God bless them, they do it out of their own, they do it for free. They don't get paid for it. So when you start putting on titles and that, you get sanctioning fees and that put in front of you. Yeah, that's just the way it is. If you're going to come up you're going to come up through the small hall circuit, you've got to be able to sell tickets. It's that's just the way it is these days.
Ozzy Smith, who has facilitated Jason coming on tonight. Thanks to Ozzy, he's on the call as well. Any questions for Jason?
Just one, Jason. What would you say the best? Obviously, you've match made hundreds of fights over the years. What would you say is do you have like a top three that stick in your mind? I know you mentioned Woodstock Poxton before, but are there any others like that you made and you've looked back after it and thought, yeah, I'm really happy with that?
Really, well, there's two types of really happy. Happy that, wow, that was a good fight. Guy made it through, i.e. Jamie Conlon and Junior Granados, if you can remember that fight.
Yeah.
I was very happy with the result of that fight about 2 days later.
That was that fight. It was brilliant, wasn't it? That was in Dublin, wasn't it, that one?
Yeah. At the time, it was squeaky bum time, let's put it that way. You know, because he was down, and then Granados was. It was a great fight when you can sit back and look at it now. And again with Jamie Conlon, Anthony Nelson was a good fight. Poxton and Woodstock. Josh Leather and Glenfoot the other day, a good fight. Buglioni was a good fight. There's been quite a few that have had me on the edge of my seat. I enjoyed Flanagan Magdaleno very much. In fact, those two shows that we did there was like a period where it's kind of back to back in Manchester with lots of WBO title fights on there. I think the first one we had Flanagan, Magdaleno, and Beefy, and was it Johnson that he won the title from?
Yes, yeah.
And on the undercard, we had Stalker Evans won. We had Adrian Gonzalez versus John Case. It was one of those where all the fights were kind of matched. So I really enjoyed that whole card. And then 2 months later, at Christmas time, we had Billy Joe and Andy Lee, and Beefy defended his title against
Jimmy Kelly.
Yeah. But we also had Mitchell Smith versus George Jupp on the undercard. Evans and Stalker too. You know, that we put some real competitive fights together on that show. I've got real fond memories of those two particular shows.
Excellent, thanks Ozzy. We'll not keep you for too much longer, Jason. We do appreciate you jumping on with us. Just a couple more questions before we go. Next week, obviously, you've got Danny Dubois and Anthony Yarde both in action. Two guys very highly thought of, especially by yourselves. High hopes for them going pretty far. What do you see over the next sort of year, maybe even a bit further for these guys, Danny Dubois and Anthony Yarde? How far do you think they'll go?
Well, I think they'll go all the way, but you know, again, matchmaking is about putting the right fights in front of them. The match that I've got for Anthony, the guy's never been stopped before. All right, at super middleweight, but he's just got a draw with Stieglitz in his last fight.
Yeah.
It wasn't stopped by Callum Smith. He wasn't stopped by Abrams. This is a chance for us to see, you know, a few more rounds out of Anthony. I hope he stops him because it's something that no one else has done. But I certainly think we'll see other elements of Anthony's arsenal coming out for people to see. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. As for Daniel, I really do believe Daniel's the real thing. But of course, it's very difficult at 20 years old, 5 fights in, 5 knockouts. It's very difficult to see what he has got. But you know, we'll keep putting the right fights in front of him, and I'm sure we'll keep knocking him over. But we still have to be careful because he's only 20 years old.
Just looking on the other side of the fence, what do you think about the whole AJ phenomenon, Anthony Joshua? He seems to be doing the right thing with packing out stadiums. He's got a little bit of a backlash for his most recent fight and performance. I mean, Eddie seems to know what he's doing. The AJ hype train continues. Hopefully, maybe fight Deontay Wilder next year, be a mega fight.
Yeah, you know, I think it's great for British boxing, and you know what they're doing with AJ, they're doing the right thing, and he's fighting the right fights. I just, you know, it's hard to criticise AJ, and I don't want to come across as criticising AJ, but it's kind of a little bit like the Larry Holmes situation in the 80s. You know, he went unbeaten, he was knocking everybody out, but there wasn't really anyone around to beat, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, your Dominic Brazil's a bit, you know, I mean, Tyson Fury and him is just a fantastic fight. And, you know, I have to, the Tyson that fought Vladimir Klitschko, that Tyson, I would back against Anthony Joshua every day of the week. But once he's got back to fitness and after a 2-year layoff, will we ever get that Tyson back? I hope so, because I think it'd be fantastic. The Wilder fight is exciting because they're both big hitters. They're both vulnerable on the chin. I think Joseph Parker personally just looks to get as much money as he can because he doesn't beat either of them. I think he looks to get as much money as he can against AJ or Deontay. I mean, if I was Deontay, I'd make a real big play for Parker. It just strengthens Deontay's position when negotiating with AJ.
They're just going to bring in one of our Scottish contributors, Andy Patterson. Andy, do you have any questions for Jason?
Yeah, Jason, just the one, mate. I know you're a big supporter, shall we say, like you say, your intercontinental belts and your international belts. You just want to explain to the listeners as to why that's the case.
Yeah. Years ago, winning a British title would automatically guarantee you a world ranking. These days, it just doesn't. I don't know why. That's something you have to ask the Boxing Board of Control. But these intercontinentals, because years ago, you would have to have 30 fights to get an area title fight. If you took that particular point of view nowadays, your fighters will get left behind. So these intercontinental belts and WBO European belts, it gives the boxer, the young kid coming through, the opportunity to train and get himself prepared for fights under championship conditions, making the weight, making check weights, fighting, weighing in the day before, and with the RBF, the second weight on the day as well. It just starts conditioning them to it being normal, and it also gives them that low world ranking which they can move up on, and we can gradually step up their opponents. If you look at Jack Catterall, that's exactly what we've done. We did it with Terry Flanagan. I'm doing it with Leon Woodstock. I'm doing it with all these lads that are winning these regional titles, and that's why, really.
Do you think that's maybe the reason why the British title isn't really getting so much airtime, shall we say? Because you never really kind of see like maybe a lot of British title fights anymore on Sky and stuff. The other thing, does the European title still guarantee a top 10 ranking, especially with the WBC?
I think a top 15 ranking maybe.
Right.
But again, I mean, I don't want to point fingers but you've got to fight to qualify to fight for the British title. Then once you've won it, to keep that belt outright, you've got to defend it 3 times. Sorry, you've got to defend and win 3 times, rather. Which I think is a little unfair, but you've got to defend and win 3 times. A lot of people can get stuck there and go stale during that time, as well. If you've got an intercontinental or an international or a WBO European or an IBF European, you can get that championship experience. And then if the British title comes along, listen, it's a beautiful belt. It's the most beautiful belt out there, the British title. Got one in my office. I just think that if it comes along, you take the opportunity to fight for it. As going back to Jack Catterall, that's what he's done. He's rated number 4 in the world with the WBO. He's had many defenses of his intercontinental. that championship experience when he fought Tyrone the other day, I think was key in helping him win that fight.
One of the listeners on the YouTube chat is asking one of the questions, and that, you know, for your experience, how does a fighter end up getting ranked for a title fight when he's nowhere even near the top 10, top 15?
Sorry, can you say that again?
It says one of the questions was, you know, how does a fighter end up getting ranked when that fighter wasn't in the top 10 or top 15 to begin with?
Oh, by winning the belt.
Yeah.
By winning the belt, you automatically get in the top 15 ranking. And a lot of the time they're going right at the bottom, and you know, then you can start stepping up the experience. But you know, you find that when kids are a champion, they start acting like champions and training like champions and behaving like champions, right? And then you've got a good chance. I mean, if you look, I keep going back to Jack because he's a perfect example of how to build a fighter's career. You know, in his ninth fight, he fought Nathan Bruff for the area title. In his 10th fight, he fought Tom Stalker for the WBO European. In his next fight, he fought for the Intercontinental, and he's been slowly stepped up in competition. He's had all sorts of different styles. The same for Tommy Langford, you know, up to the British level there. They've all sorts of different styles, all sorts of different guys from different places, and they've built good experience, so that, you know, when they get to the top, they've got that experience in the bag.
This isn't particularly your problem, Jason, as the matchmaker, but you think from a sanctioning body point of view, sometimes there's a danger that the system might be abused, in that you might have a kid who's maybe not at a certain level getting pushed up for, say, like a WBO title or an Intercontinental or an international title, and they're sort of gaming the system to get into a position when they're not actually ready for a shot. And in that case, it's down to the promoter or the sanctioning body to maybe recognise that they haven't got the necessary experience to be fighting at the level they are because they've won these sort of minor titles.
Well, yeah, there is not so much abuse, but eventually that kid will get found out anyway. But it's down to the promoter to make sure that the step up that he has, or the matchmaker and the promoter, the step up that they have is in line with where they actually are. We don't kid ourselves. We don't, you know, if a guy wins a WBO European, we don't all of a sudden think it's sliced bread. We still have to, you know, give him the right experience in front of him. But for the, you know, if the kid's a champion, he'll start to behave like a champion, and that's you know, part of the reason that we do it.
Just final question, Jason, and we do thank you for joining us tonight. Which fights and fighters are getting you excited for 2018? What are you really looking forward to putting on and hoping that you can make?
Well, as I come on air, you were talking about Liam Smith. I'm looking forward to him being a two-time, because Williams was final eliminator for the title. And you know, Saddam Ali and Beefy, I look forward to doing that next year. Although I would imagine it'll be mostly Frank putting that one together. Josh Leather excites me at the moment. You know, he's shown what some people may say is frailties. I see it as taking his eye off the ball for a second. There's potentially a nice matchup there with Jeff Saunders, another Northeast derby. One fight that did spring to mind might be nice to do either early next season in September or what have you. What do you think about Leon Woodstock and John O'Carroll?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that at all, to be honest. Jono looked really good in his last fight, didn't he?
He did. He looked very good. And I just think that those two styles gel, you know. Listen, it's not something that we've actually nailed on or properly discussed. But you know, if I'm sat here fantasy matchmaking, that's a fight that I'd like to see. Looking forward to Frampton versus the winner of Selby Warrington.
Yeah.
Maybe further down the line, you know, Scott Quick can get involved in that, depending on what his promoter wants to do. Obviously, with my own guys, I'm looking forward to Jordan Thompson's development next year. And there's some interesting fights in, like the Sam Hyde fight and things like local derbies. Terry's obviously number one contender now for the WBO super lightweight title against Maurice Hooker. So
you'd fancy him to beat Hooker, wouldn't you?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think he would have underperformed if he gets beat by Hooker. But that again sets up potentially Jack Catterall and Terry Flanagan, which is a great northwest derby, isn't it?
Yeah.
With Bradley Skeet.
Bradley Skeet, yeah, another one. I mean, he's going to have a big fight next year. They're working on something for him. I think he's ready now. I think he's mature enough now. He's got the skill set in his bag now and the experience to go out there and have a good crack at one of the world titles.
Excellent stuff, Jason. Really appreciate your time this evening. Thanks for coming on and being candid and answering everyone's questions. Excellent stuff. All the best now. Cheers, Jason.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers, bud.
Jason McCrory there. Thanks for Jason for jumping on. Ozzy, cheers for you for sorting it out. It's always good to hear from someone who's at the coalface of British boxing. Also jumping on at this time, we have Gabe Lewis. He's managed to wipe the tears away from Miguel Cotto's retirement. Gabe, talk to me about Cotto Saddam Ali last night. You must have been completely distraught.
Oh, yeah, just terrified and fucking had a horrible time watching that. Actually, it was a really great fight. I thought it was much better than I thought it was going to be. And that was because of Saddam Ali. He came in ready to do what he had to do. And really excellent fight, I thought, all the way around. I mean, you had him taking control early, like Cotto was coming in and starting to come on and possibly going to take the fight to a little bit different level. Ali came back, Saddam came back in and did what he had to do. And, you know, it was a really good fight. From the get-go, you had some action and some drama. You know, Cotto got stunned early. So all the way around, great fight. I don't think there's anything you could say other than it kind of fits the mold of what we've seen in his fights throughout his career. You know, so fair play to Saddam Ali. That was a good fight. I enjoyed every second of it, pretty much.
You're happy to see Ali again, Gabe, soon, hopefully, at a theatre near you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't mind watching him again. I mean, I've watched him several times on some bigger cards that he's on. But aside from that, it's been good from everything that I've seen. You know, he had the one loss, the knockout loss that was, you know, looked like it could have been kind of damaging in terms of where he could go after that. You know, I think every time someone loses, you have to consider what their options are going to be after that and how it's going to impact them. You know, today we put so much emphasis on those losses that it's always telling to see how somebody bounces back from them. But he had a golden opportunity and he took it. So, you know, and he looked big, he looked strong. He didn't look out of league up there at 154. So I think it'll be good to see what he has going for him next. I don't think he's going to stay a champion long if he looks to face somebody like Lara or Charlo. But he should be in some exciting fights still.
Rob, as I'm sure you were glued to IFL TV last night to see David Price's comeback 6-round victory against Kamil Sokolowski. We've had a question in from Liam Wynn. He says, looking at David Price, in addition to not moving back in straight lines, what are the other things that he needs to do and needs to work on to get beyond British title level. I would say, Rob, maybe he could ask if he's allowed to fight with one of those oxygen tanks that you see old people driving around in mobility scooters wearing. Do you think that could be allowed?
Well, he should be allowed to get some collagen injections into his ear. Because every time he gets stopped, he gets a box in the ear. Like so, he could learn to get some weights around his ankles. Because he's as a Scouse taxi driver told me one time, Pricey's got skinny ankles, so he wouldn't get down. So I don't know if there's much.
What was your response to that, mate? Skinny ankles. What was your response to that one?
He told me that his dad told him if you ever got into a fight and saw someone with skinny ankles, just to rock them because they can't take a shot. And it started to make sense, like fellas with tree trunk heads that can't get knocked out. You know what I mean? But
we sparrow legs.
Yeah, exactly. But you do see a lot of that. Like guys with good, like I mean, Khan is, I think, is a good example of that. Like I think he's got kind of gangly legs, hasn't he? Like and a glass jaw. Uncle as well. I hear these days he ate the strawberries or someone at work was telling me so. What? Oh, sorry. I wanted to say, by the way, this is the second time in a row for HBO at the end of the year where the fighters announced his retirement fight and lost the fight. But I don't remember Jim Lampley being as teared up over a B-hop.
Jim's getting upset these days quite easily, isn't he, Rob, as the guys mentioned?
The sauce, like, I think he's on the sauce. He gets mad emotional. Like, he got emotional talking about Klitschko. He got emotional talking about Oscar before. He's just an emotional man, but yeah, you know what I mean? I think he's on the sauce like Larry Merchant.
Wouldn't mind hearing Larry back, to be honest. Just on the IFL TV show, I didn't see it either, but Paul Edwards laid a comment down. He said, props to IFL last night for last night's show. Down-to-earth commentary, a good card, no bullshit like you get off Sky. Hopefully we'll see more of it. Very enjoyable, says Paul Edwards. Just looking across at this Leicester show, Aussie, Cyclone Promotions, Anthony Yigit defeating Joe Hughes. Hughes came and gave it a good go for the first 2 or 3 rounds and he was right in the fight. But Yigit, bit of a switch hitter, not a big puncher, managed to pull away as the fight went on and won by quite wide scores. Putting this to one side, can you see Yigit maybe fighting someone like a Josh Taylor? What did you think of his performance last night?
No, he won't box Josh Taylor. I think Taylor absolutely annihilates him. He's got a lot of skills. I like him. But he said himself he's looking to probably move down to lightweight now, which I think is a good idea. He's not the biggest. And if he can obviously get down to lightweight, he might have a bit more power, for example, because obviously he isn't the biggest puncher. And you do need some sort of dig, even if it's just to keep people off you. I thought it was a good performance. Joe Hughes' game, I've seen him before. And obviously he's got... I don't think he can really... I think his right arm's shorter than his left or something like that due to an illness. So, I mean, for the level he's at already, Joe Hughes, he's done really well to get there. But no, he's all right. He doesn't come. There's no bullshit with him. He doesn't call anybody out, and he said himself basically that he doesn't want to box Josh Taylor, and you can see why. Taylor's massive. And he was just taking to pieces. But no, it was a solid performance. And obviously, if he feels he's going to drop down, I look forward to seeing him in some entertaining fights at lightweight.
Just on the undercard, Ozzy, looking at this Luke Watkins, I don't know what quite to make of him, to be honest. I've seen a few of his fights against Ian Timms and then Dupre and then the fight last night against Mike Stafford. Fair play to Stafford. He gave it a good go. But Watkins, he can look a little bit one-paced at times, but he seems to like to soften the opponent up for the first few rounds, and after about 6 rounds, start laying the shots in. Once his opponents are tiring, he manages to find the home for the headshots, some nice little body shots. He definitely has skills. He definitely has power. What do you make of him?
I agree with the points you've just said, but his tactics won't work as he starts stepping up the levels. Now, I mean, the British champions, Matty Askin, and I think Askin beats him in 4 rounds. He starts slow. He's not... and he gets caught quite a lot. Now your better boxers who do carry power could take him out by that. Now, Stafford, I thought, probably for the first 4 or 5 rounds, caused problems. He was in the fight. And then his tank started to empty. And then after that, Watkins took over. He's a big guy. But I'd like to see him in with Askin next. I know Michael Jennings, Matty Askin's trainer, is really up for that fight. So I'd like to see that made. It'd be for the the British and the Commonwealth titles. But no, he's obviously got ability, Watkins. He's trained by Paddy Fitzpatrick, who I think a lot of people associate him with George Groves. So it'd be interesting to see, but I do think he does have his vulnerabilities, but it is expected, as he is only Commonwealth level at the moment. He might be able to iron those out as he gets more experience. He's the best at his weight at the moment, but he can punch and he gets caught, so he always makes for something entertaining.
Certainly does. Andy, did you see anything of Yigit against Hughes or anything of this card? Chantel Cameron, I'm not really a big fan of women's boxing, nothing against it. It just doesn't do anything for me because I don't really know any of the fighters' names, but I was quite impressed by this Chantel Cameron. I thought she dealt with this Urban Earth pretty well. Yeah,
she's kind of mixed at kind of world level, shall we say. But I think the thing with Cameron is she does seem to kind of like really attack the body pretty well, really trying to kind of push the action and try and get the stoppage and that. But she didn't usually kind of see a lot of women's boxing. She kind of set a tempo pretty early. Came out there stinging jab, and she never kind of really kind of let the. I think about she Brazilian or something like that, really into the fight. So that was a decent enough performance and stuff. So I think it's only a matter of time before she picks up a world title and stuff. Well, I know they called that a world title there last night, but it's not really. It's no one of the big four, shall we say. Yeah, I mean, I think I said it last night. I mean, if you saw Yigit sometimes on the inside and that, especially against a guy who's essentially a one-handed fighter. If you transpose Josh Taylor into that fight, Yigit's going to get lapped to the body, man. He would have been stopped within 7 or 8 rounds to the body because the guy just kind of holds his feet for too long. And I think it was Ozzy alluded to and stuff like that. I think I did hear him kind of saying the last night he wanted to maybe moved into lightweight, and that's just a blatant duck. I mean, the guys have fought before as amateurs and stuff. If you look at how they've kind of fixed over, I mean, yeah, that's Yigit's what. That must be his 20th odd fight or something. Not really kind of much improvement, whereas Taylor seems to be kind of improving all the time and stuff. He's had the right step up in fights at the right times and stuff. So I think Yigit's probably making the kind of right move, I suppose, if he's wanting to kind of keep his undefeated record for a wee bit longer, and that's moved down in weight, because I think Taylor would absolutely light him up. I caught the Smiley fight for about round 7 onwards and stuff. That's what I think it was just at the start of the show and that, or just before the show started. That was 3 fights on TV he's had now, and he's really been razor close in all 3 of them and stuff. Doesn't seem to get a rub of the green. Hopefully he doesn't get cast aside now. I think that guy's a TV friendly fighter. I think he deserves another shot. Channel 5, Sky, BT or whatever. And that, I think that guy, he's always going to bring it. He's always going to be in the fight, kind of late doors and stuff. As I say, I didn't want to see the guy kind of getting cast aside and stuff, but so I think he would bring out the best in a lot of kind of up and coming fighters and stuff like that. And Lennox Clark, obviously, he had it rough there last night for periods as well. But I thought he was quite for what I saw it anyway. He was quite classy in his boxing ability and stuff. Was picking his shots pretty well. But Smiley was just tough as fuck, wasn't he? He just kept coming forward all night long. So, yep. Hopefully he gets another chance.
Yeah, really good fight. I enjoyed that one. Press Pass Paul was supposed to be coming on to talk about Lennox Clark. He might show before the end of the programme. We don't know. Rob, did you see anything of the Channel 5 or Spike card at all? Take that as a no. Ozzy, we were talking off air about the Jermaine Smile Lennox Clark fight. A real humdinger. Smile doesn't know how to be in a bad fight, does he?
No. And like Andy said, he's one that you'll never get bored in watching. His past 3 fights have been excellent. No, he isn't the best, but he's always well matched. And again, it was a real good fight, but you end up talking about the cards. I think I had Clark winning basically through the knockdown. I think I had it a point or 2 to Clark, and then you've got all these judges having it 5 rounds, and I just can't see where they've gone really. And you've got to feel for someone like Smile. I mean, I was just looking online before, and I was reading one of the local paper articles, and he actually said that if he feels he can't beat Lennox Clark, he might look at retiring, which it'd be disappointing that, because he is an entertainer. And hopefully he doesn't. He might feel, obviously, with like the poor cards, his team felt he won it. He stays involved. Sol Cameron looked really good. Now, her opponent wasn't much caught. Katie Taylor beat as well, I think, in a 4th or 5th fight. So I think it was for the IBO World Lightweight title. But I'll tell you what, next few fights, and then just put them in together with Taylor and Cameron. I know enough all about women's boxing, and I don't plan on really researching it. But at the moment, you've got two girls who are at the same weight. It's a limited division of sorts, so put them in together. I can't see any.
Yeah,
they're not going to get huge money anywhere else. So let's put them in together. I'm not having that. There's going to be like a promotional issue. Realistically, it's not going to sell out any arenas or anything. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think Natasha Jonas boxes at the same weight, so they could have a bit of a like a trio there where it might be quite entertaining.
There's no excuses for those three girls not to fight each other, is there really?
Absolutely nothing. No, it's not as if like they can go and earn a fortune elsewhere, because the sport for women's boxing at the moment just isn't that big. So the huge money isn't there, where you could avoid it, like, for example, and then just, like we saw before, like Eddie Hearn's, like, oh, Kelly Offay, he's not going to take that for the money. Whereas, like, female boxing, they're not going to have that luxury at the moment because there isn't the opponents there. Like, you seen straight away, like, Katie Taylor, don't get me wrong, she's very talented. So was she a world champion after, like, 6 fights, something like that? And she's only going to be at that level now for the rest of her career. So let's get them in. Like, it might be more interesting, to get people into it. Boxing, two people in together, knowing the names of sorts, rather than like just pulling over these like random people. You think, who the fuck, where have you pulled these from?
Don't forget, guys, we've got the Lomachenko Rigondeaux preview coming up very shortly, within the next 5 minutes or so. On the call at the moment, I've got Andy Patterson, Gabe, Ozzy, and Rob Kelly. Gabe, I'm going to hit you with a question from Shane Finnegan, back to David Price, unfortunately. He said, has a fighter ever lost confidence as badly as David Price? Once favoured to beat Fury, ringside for Klitschko fights with Sky, lining him up as the next opponent. Now Price feels intimidated by pregnant Latvians and talks so negatively. Can you remember, Gabe, an instance where a fighter has suffered a loss or two and just been so badly affected his confidence is completely gone? One guy I'll add in, Gabe, is a guy called Glenn Tapia, once put in as a bit of a prospect, got the absolute shit beaten out of him by James Kirkland, and he just wasn't the same again. The confidence, everything just went, and he was beaten, shot. Anyone you can think of?
But I think in recent memory, Price is probably the worst. I mean, Tapia was, still, in my mind, a low tier prospect. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, not to say that people thought he wasn't going to do big things, but I don't think as many people had him on the radar as people did Price. So for me, whenever I think of guys that just completely lost the plot, I mean, Price is one of them. I don't recall seeing anybody in the times that I've watched boxing go from the level that he was at to being, a fight or two out from starting the big fights to just going to doing nothing. And, that's got to say something about what he knows about himself. He does have a shaky chin. So, I think the biggest thing is overall, I can't recall someone having worse confidence issues, but you can definitely see where they come from. And it is kind of astonishing when you think about where he was at to where he is. It's in my mind, I can't recall anybody else that's been that bad.
Yeah, completely agree. Price just goes in looking like a guy who's expecting to lose. Kevin Watson threw in a question, Andy. He said, which pod member has the most knowledge of boxing? I'm going to say, hey to Dave Lowback. Andy, what do you think?
He's up there. Probably Speedo. Speedo's, he's underrated. He's just waiting to kind of break out in the top, the top 2 or 3. Show his pound for pound credentials.
Big Tommy's left us.
Aye, he's kind of get the mute button working or something like that on his phone. Who else could we say? I don't know. Probably Rob. Rob's probably got the most knowledge.
Sebastian.
Seb knows his boxing, especially his technical stuff and that. The spear jab and all that type of thing, and the up jab, down jab.
Well, we've actually had a messaging from the marvelous Mendo, Andy. Yep.
Take that as a compliment from Andy, because Andy definitely by far knows the most about boxing. He knows about Little Midget and Germans and all. Like, my knowledge is up to a point, you know what I mean? And then I kind of checked out of boxing for a little while when I was doing music and all that, and I come back, so I've got gaps and there's people I don't know about or whatever and don't care about knowing. But I'd be very nostalgic. But I'd say Andy, like, he's like an encyclopedia, man. You know what I mean?
Go ahead, Gabe.
Oh, everybody gets to pick one.
Well, you just unmuted yourself. That's where I came to you.
I'll go with Andy. I'll go with Andy too. I think part of whenever the forum was going back a long time ago, you used to see that guy. He would talk about a little bit of everything, and he had plenty of knowledge about everything. He is a sarcastic ass a lot of times. But I think it's always, like when it comes down to it, if you're trying to have a serious conversation on technical points or things along those lines, he and just general knowledge of what's going on everywhere. I don't know a guy that's more dialed in than Andy. And then Seb was always, very, very good with technicalities. I mean, the guy could sit there and analyze, and he was like a savant in terms of what he could pick out and see and describe happening.
Well, talking of Seb,
Steve's knowledge, all the German fights and stuff, Eurosport and Universal Promotions and all that sort of stuff.
It's definitely not me. I have all the pointless knowledge that's just bullshit, Andy, that nobody needs to know. But we did have a message in from the Marvelous Mendo. He said, big fights call for big opinions. So dig out Seb's number for tonight's show and let's hear how he sees Loma's sexy speed or Rigo's rapier rights making the difference. So Marvelous Mendo is calling for Sebastian to be pulled in. Right, enough of this madness, Aussie. Let's go on to next week's fights. Fedor Chudinov, he who lost to Felix Sturm, he who was knocked out by George Groves, if memory serves me correctly, is fighting next Saturday night in Russia against a guy called Ryan Ford, who was supposed to be fighting Anthony Yard at one point, as you reminded me off air. He's a Canadian, 35 years of age. Could be a decent tear-up, this one.
Yeah. I've not really seen much of it. I think he actually did a bit of bare knuckle boxing or something, fighting more than boxing. And then he came into this. It's down at super middleweight, so Ford's dropping down. You would like to think Chudinov's got too much for him, but it could be interesting. He can bang a bit forward. Chudinov's there to be hit. So, yeah, it could be a good one. I think it's in Russia. So, yeah, it's Saturday's a real packed... Isn't it real packed weekend, and it could be a decent fight. I don't think we'll see it over here, so it's going to be one of those. Try and find it on a YouTube video, probably on the Sunday or something like that. If anybody does get hold of it.
Yeah, we'll be trying to dig out a stream for that one. Also, looking to dig out a stream for this one, Andy, next Wednesday in Dubai. Ilunga Makabu. Yeah. We all remember him. He's fighting for the vacant WBC Silver Cruiserweight title against Ola Duradola. He who went in with Kudryashov. This can't help but be a barn burner. Someone is going to get knocked out, aren't they? Who's it going to be, Andy?
I really don't know. I mean, okay, Makubu's had a couple of fights back and stuff over down in Africa and that. I don't know what kind of level we're talking about there, but I think they've been stoppage victories. Do you actually recover for a knockout like that? And then you've obviously got Duradola. He's coming off that fifth round stoppage off Kudryashov. But I'm going to go with Makabu. I'm going to go with maybe a late stoppage in this one. It really depends. Again, as I says, I watched Bredis kind of beat on Duradola really badly and stuff like that before he got stopped in the 9th. Kudryashov, who we all know is probably just a few steps down off kind of like world title level or world level, considering how Dorico kind of dealt with him and stuff. He's another one actually, Duradola. I think he's had a couple of fights back in Africa as well, a couple of kind of stoppage victories and stuff. So, also as well as it's another chance to get themselves in with a WBC title shot as well. So, at this rate, with this fight happening kind of early next week and stuff, they're going to be in line hopefully for maybe the Super 6, the WBS winner, maybe middle of next year. But it's odd that this fight's taking place in Dubai. I don't know if this maybe kind of dummy run for the cruiserweight final.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Andy.
See how it kind of goes and that. But do you remember who was the big American heavyweight we had on the show? Tillman.
Clarence Tillman the third. Yeah.
He fought earlier. I actually asked him how things were running stuff. He said it was brutal, absolutely terrible.
It was a shambles, wasn't it? He said.
Aye, and I had to look at this when I flagged it up to you and stuff. I was looking for a promoter of this fight and stuff like that, and who the commission was. There's nothing even listed for this, so Christ knows what kind of safety kind of things they've got in place and stuff. And so I don't know, but that's me kind of go off on a tangent there. But as for a winner, I'm gonna go with Maccabi. And I didn't say it with any kind of great kind of authority in that. I mean, these guys are well into kind of 80% KO ratios and stuff like that. So you just wonder, if somebody kind of lands more than often enough, they're going to go. But I think Maccabi can be slightly younger, slightly fresher than that as well. But again, he's kind of coming off that bad KO, so you just wonder what he's got left. Duradol is 37, still ripped, but you just don't know if it's maybe a step too far. But I'm going to go with Maccabi light stoppage.
We'll be talking Lomachenko Rigondeaux very shortly, Gabe. But before we do, tell me about the undercard next week on ESPN. I know you're going to be lying across the sofa, Doritos on your chest, scratching your balls, wearing your shorts. Tell me about the undercard. Who you fancy looking out for? Christopher Diaz is fighting Casey Ramos. We've also got Bryant Jennings, the heavyweight, going in against Don Hainsworth. Michael Conlan, Shakur Stevenson, Jose Gonzalez, all undefeated featherweight and super bantamweight prospects. Who are you looking forward to seeing most on ESPN on the undercard, Gabe?
Sorry, I was muted there. Looking forward to seeing Conlan on the card. Let's see. That one will be probably one that I'll be looking out for very intently. Shakur Stevenson's on the card. I don't really know how many all of these are going to get televised. And then, I'll watch Bryant Jennings if he's on the card. If he's on the televised part of the card, I don't know that he's going to be. But it should be a good, fun evening of boxing for that. I don't know if you guys were planning on going about the HBO card too. There's some good stuff coming on there. And then I'll probably try to watch the show. There's a card, I think it's going to be on Showtime too next week. So there's a lot of great boxing next week. But of course, Lomachenko Rigondeaux is going to be the one that I'm going to be, like you said, laying on the couch, Doritos all over the place. I'll be zombied up for that day. I've been waiting for that one for quite some time, so I'm pretty pumped. So yeah, I don't know, lots of great fights. But probably Michael Conlan will be the best of that undercard that's coming on that ESPN show.
Just talking about HBO there, Gabe, talk about a goodwill story for this guy, Tevin Farmer. Just looking down his record, a lot of losses early on. I think he got to about his 10th or 11th fight, and he'd had 4 losses, including one to Jose Pedraza. Then he went on a crazy run where he's won about 17 or 18 fights in a row, and he finds himself now, after being shot in the hand recently, fighting for the vacant IBF World Super Featherweight title against Kenichi Ogawa. I had the pleasure of seeing Mr. Farmer fight in 2016 in New York when he defeated Ivan Redkach. He gave Redkach a bit of a boxing lesson, actually. Will you be rooting for this guy like I will? I hope he does it. Yeah,
absolutely. I haven't seen enough of Kenichi to be a fan. I think that from everything that I've seen from Farmer, which admittedly isn't a whole ton. I don't know how much actual fights of his are out there. But yeah, I mean, getting shot in the hand makes me kind of concerned about that fight, though. I just don't see how you could be shot in the hand and still carry on. It'd have to be like a very small caliber bullet. And
it's sort of like a vital component of boxing, isn't it? It's like being shot in the dick if you're a porn star.
Yeah, that's it is. It's very critical. And so for someone to be shot in the hand, and you're telling me that it hit no bones, hit no major muscles or tendons or anything like that. I have a hard time believing that that's not going to give him a lot of trouble. I guess we'll find out, though. I know Lou DiBella, I believe it was talking about, I think he's one of Lou's guys, but was talking about it and said that everything checked out on the hand. So, talk about a miracle that he was able to get it, get back and ready to go and be approved. I'm sure he went through some testing and stuff, but you know how people are in a lot of ways. They'll just say whatever they think they need to say to get a fighter to continue on and keep going. So for me, I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Also on that card, Rob, feel free to talk about Farmer if you wish, but we've got Orlando Salido. He's still fighting. He's well over 50 fights now. Interim WBC super featherweight title against Miguel Roman, who's had about 70-odd fights himself. And Francisco Vargas is boxing Mr. Stephen Smith, who got himself an opportunity. Oscar De La Hoya is promoting alongside Eddie and Tom Loeffler. Salido, Roman, Vargas, Smith. Any interest in either of those fights, Rob?
Yeah, I think Vargas will blow Smith away. I think Salido. I love Salido, like, because he's a genuine goonie, like, isn't he? And he's a cheat and a bad guy, like, and a villain. But he's been in some fights, like, you know what I mean? Hell of a fights, like, took Lomachenko's L. You know what I mean? You have to give it to him. Like, he's been a hell of a servant. I don't know how many more outings we can see him. I think he's deteriorating on, you know, as it happens. We can see it in front of our eyes. Like, in his last fight, I think he looked a little bit diminished, even though I think he got a job done controversially last time, did he? I can't remember even who he was out against last, but I wanted to see the Lomachenko rematch, but it's probably better for him that it didn't happen, or that he priced himself out of it, whatever the case may be, because I think Lomachenko is probably a different animal now and would evaporate him. Like, but Salido's been good to the game, so we need more Salidos around. You know what I mean? They're a dying breed, them.
Andy, just hot-footing it back across the pond, the Frank Warren show. We've got a bit of Selby, a bit of De Gale. Tell me about Danny Dubois, obviously very highly thought of. This is his 6th fight. He's going in against Dorian Darch. I can see why they're putting him in against Darch, but I can't see the Welshman lasting more than 2 or 3 rounds. And in the new year, we're going to have to see Dubois stepping up against guys who are going to take him, 6-8 rounds, because he is going to get rid of this guy on Saturday, you would imagine.
Yeah, I would think so, mate. Especially, well, obviously, some people reckon that the guy's going to be the goods. We had Jason on there earlier on. They're basically saying, I think he can go all the way. So, as you say, he should be dealing with this guy. I mean, Eddie Chambers dealt with him within, was it 3 or 4 rounds or whatever. AJ dealt with him in 2. So, I think we've got to be looking at Dubois. I mean, if he is the next real deal or whatever, then I think he's got to be kind of handling this guy pretty emphatically. No doubts about it. As for the other card, I'm really looking forward to Yard against Sidge Locker. I know some people might shit on that. They might say, who the hell is Sidge Locker? In the day, he fought to a draw against an ex-world champion for the European title. He has got a couple of losses to likes of Callum Smith and Tyrone Zoiga.
He doesn't get stopped though, does he, Andy? That's the thing.
That's the thing as well. I mean, he's went 12 with Abraham as well. So and obviously Sakil Bika's he's not great, but I tell you what, Bika is a tough fight for anybody. I don't care what your style is or how good you are. He will give you fucking fits and a hard night. So this could be I'm not going to say it's going to be a banana skin for Yard, because I do expect him to win. What I want to see for this fight is Sidge Locker. Hopefully he's had a good proper training camp. Hopefully he's in good shape, because I want to see Yard taking rounds. I want to see if he's got a gas tank, if that muscle is just all it is there. It's for like a strongman G glorified or whatever. 30-0, I don't know, I think he's like 12 knockouts or something. We've got to see this guy tested rounds, because I was calling for him maybe last week to maybe, if there's a light heavyweight tournament kind of coming up, maybe stick him in there to see how he kind of fares and that, because there's no doubt about it, he needs a step up, and this is a step in the right direction. I say I'm not a fan of like these step ups and then kind of bring them back again and stuff, but this is the right step up at the right time, because we need to know. We've got questions about Yard, and like I said, the main one's going to be about his gas tank and stuff, especially kind of going down like 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds and see where he goes for there. De Gale, I'm expecting again maybe a slightly tough fight for De Gale here. Truax is I don't think he's been stopped either actually, or maybe he has. I think he's been maybe stopped a couple of times, but I think he might be in there for De Gale, who's coming off obviously surgery and that as well. Selby, again, how's this guy still making weight? You just don't know if the weights could end up, really bollocking him up at some point. These Mexicans obviously they can be tough. This guy's undefeated. Not really got much of a punch though, so we'll need to wait and see how he kind of fares up as well. But again, Selby, I would expect him to do the business and keep himself on track for a Frampton fight.
Ozzy, I agree with Andy. I think this is a serious step up for Yard, and I don't think I'm overstating it by saying that. I'm not saying Sidge Locker is great, but he will, I anticipate, go the distance, and Yard is all of a sudden going to have to go from blowing guys out in rounds 3 and 4 to going all the way 12 rounds in a relatively hard fight, because, I mean, if you look at the guys he's beaten in his last 3 fights, Chris Hobbs, winning record, purely area level. Richard Baragni, 18-1, absolute bullshit record. Shit fighter. Norbert Nemes-Sapati, aesthetically pleasing record, complete smoke and mirrors, bullshit fighter. Yard is really stepping up, I think, in this one. He will have to push himself, and you imagine he will have to go the distance. This is, it could be a potential banana skin for him, fitness-wise.
Whoever says it isn't a step up, they're just they're chatting shit. It's bullshit. This is a huge step up. I mean, you were just saying that you look at Anthony Yardy's record. I mean, he doesn't have a good win. Bloody hell, like you said, Baranya, he's shy. Nemesapati, shy. Hobbs, area level. This is a massive step up. Like Andy said then, Shazloka drew with Stieglitz last time out for the European light heavyweight title. So people say, oh, he's just a blown-up super middleweight. Well, he's not that bad, is he? He's just drawn for the European title, so he's not shite. Stop now. I think he's like 15-1, says Locker, and it's a shame he doesn't have more of a dig on him, because it would be interesting then. If Yardy does gas. Because I think, how many rounds has he gone the most? It's like 4 rounds. This is a big, big step up, and I think it's excellent matchmaking. All the like Jose Burton's been saying, oh yeah, it's just an old man, he can't do anything. It'll be a better fucking win than anybody on his record. Same with Buglioni as well. This is a real good fight, and I'm looking forward to it. I expect Yardy to win, and I've got to admit, I wouldn't be shocked if he does stop him, weirdly. But at the same time, it could, rightly as you said, Steve, be a banana skin, because he's no mug. Dubois, I think he'll do darts in a round. I was talking to Richie Garner, who's been on before, and he echoes the same views. I think I don't really mind the De Gale and Selby fights, particularly Selby, because next year he's essentially got 2 fights locked in, should he win. He's got Warrington, which is going to be at Ellen Road, I think, towards like the middle of April or something like that. So that's a massive fight.
Yeah.
If he beats Warrington, he then goes and boxes Carl Frampton. Don't mind that whatsoever, because he's essentially got 2 huge stadium fights locked in. De Gale, what did you expect, really? He's been out for a long time. Shoulder injury. Again, he's already identified Benavidez unification early in 2018. So if that happens, I think you can excuse the lower caliber of opponents, because one's going to be going into a stadium fight, the other is going to be unifying the title. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's a decent one. Joe Mullender, Lee Churcher. It's another one. I mean, it's one of those tin pot IBF titles. But as Jason said then, which I never thought of before, it gets people, like making weight properly, rather than just a 10 rounder. What say it can be at middleweight, but you can weigh in like 6 pound over. And then they've got to obviously make weight in the morning after. Churcher, he's managed by Richie Garner as well. They fancy this. They've got a lot of, I think Churcher gets like a contract with Frank Warren should he beat Mullender, etc. Mullender's got a great style. He always bulldozing forward, all action. That should be a good one. Then Frank's got a few of his prospects on the undercard as well. Craig Evans is back out. They're looking to do big things with him next year. He's quite entertaining. So no, it's
Umar Sadiq's highly thought of in a few quarters as well. I think.
Yeah. Same with Harvey Horn. He was on the GB squad. He's turning over at super flyweight. Archie Sharp, I know he's another one. Sanjeev Sahota. I don't think he's as good as they like to make out, but
exciting. But he's not that good.
He is quite exciting. Yeah, which sometimes I don't mind. If it's exciting, I don't care what level it's at. If I'm entertained, then that's all I'm bothered about. I'm not bothered as long as they don't try and big him up and say, "Oh yeah, it's going to be a world champion." Like, I'm not bothered what level it is. If it's entertaining, then who cares?
Gabe, Lee Selby is going in against a guy called Eduardo Ramirez. He fought to a draw against Barthelomy's brother, Ledwan Barthelemy, in his last fight. And before that, he was fighting in Mexico and then Uruguay. So he's not the greatest. And then we've got James DeGale going in as Caleb Truax, who's okay, but he got stopped by Durrell, got stopped by Danny Jacobs. Do you expect DeGale to stop Truax, Gabe? And do you expect Selby to be able to put a beating down on this Ramirez character?
Yeah, I think both yes. I don't see why they shouldn't, to be honest with you. Of course, there's always the chance where things don't go the way we see them. I mean, we saw that, obviously last night. I don't think many people were predicting Saddam Ali to win. that fight. And if they were, they were kind of a small number of people who were predicting it. I think it's going to be kind of a similar scenario here. I don't see why either guy in those two fights can't win and win handily. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. Although, part of it is I think I'll just enjoy watching those two fights. It's going to be a whole great weekend of boxing. So I think, that's what I'm expecting to see. But then again, it wouldn't surprise me because either one of the other two guys, the opponents, I haven't seen a whole heap of. So, it's kind of one of those situations where I'll just go with what I know. And I think we're looking for some impressive victories on both of those.
We've got the Bellew of the week coming up at the end, guys, and then we shall get out of here. We've lost Tommy, we've lost Rob Kelly, we've still got Ozzy, Gabe and Andy on the call, though, so we shall get on to the big one. Vasyl Lomachenko, 9-1, WBO super featherweight title against Guillermo Rigondeaux, 17-0. I think it's the fact that it's for the super featherweight title, which could be the big thing, Andy. Let's get the elephant in the room, so to speak, out the way. The big size differential. Can Rigondeaux skip up the weights and sort of close the gap, close the disparity with his skill, with his athleticism, with his ability? Because it is a hell of a jump fighting a guy like this at your own weight, but going up the weights, it's going to be a difficult task.
It's going to be a difficult task, and that's actually a fight I'm really looking forward to. It had to happen. People were calling for it when Lomachenko was doing it with 126. I'm not one to hear any of this bullshit or people's complaints or moans or whatever, or the gripes about fucking size difference and stuff. End of the day, we are fucking boxing fans, right? I don't care what era you come from, right, or who your favourite fighter is, in the recent, going back in history or whatever. And that the fact of the matter is this: see great fighters step up in weight, regardless. Right, we've seen it with Charlie Burley, we've seen it with Ray Robinson, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, all these great fighters. Now, Rigo is his own worst enemy, or his own worst victim, shall we say. He's allowed people to basically manage his career into the absolute trash. Okay, he's been calling out this fighter. Okay, he's been ducked as well. Frampton, Quigg, Santa Cruz, they all ducked. They just blatant out just ducked him. They didn't want that fight. Okay, he called out Lomachenko. Lomachenko at the time was at 126. There was some issue regards to money. I just think this is Rigondeaux really kind of like, if he gets this fight, if he wins this fight, by the way, he's going to. Okay, he's only got how many fights or something like that? He's only got 17 pro fights. I think if he wins this fight and stuff, he is going to be considered one of the greatest fighters of all time. Because simple fact is this: HBO, boxing fans, boxing Twitter, podcasts, they are all bigging up Lomachenko. He's one of my most favourite fighters and stuff, and active in the sport just now. But technically, there's nobody like him in the sport at the minute. The way he's dominating fighters, he's making fighters quit because they just can't handle what he brings to the table. He's bossing MMA fighters and sparring. He's absolutely dominating Shakur Stevenson in sparring as well. Okay, it's only sparring and stuff like that, but the guy, you know what I'm getting at. The guy is absolutely technically supreme. He's probably the best technical fighter in the sport today. Then you've got Rigondeaux, probably a defensive master. And one thing he has got, Rigondeaux, compared to Loma, I don't know. Maybe just I don't know if he's like a one-punch hitter, but I think Rigo has got really kind of deceptive power. And one thing we need to see Lomachenko probably do. Okay, he had a bit of a hard fight with Salido and stuff, but I just wonder with Rigo's pot shot, and especially with the straight left hand, can it bother Lomachenko? Can he land it? And I think maybe the weight might actually even help Rigo to a point, because he doesn't eat to kind of make weight. He's got to kind of put coins in his pockets, not to kind of jump up in weight. But some people need to remember here as well is that according to Rigo's side, there's actually a rehydration clause here. And apparently, I think, I need to go back and double check this, but I'm sure the rehydration clause for this fight is I think it's here 137 or 138. So Lomachenko can't weigh in any more than 138 on the day of the fight. I think that's right. But so you just don't know. I wouldn't think it'd be a factor anyway. Lomachenko's always in shape and that. So I'm really looking forward to it. Technically, it could be a bit of a stinker. It really depends how Rigo's going to approach this fight. If Lomachenko is going to try and push it, somebody's going to have to lead the fight anyway. I think Lomachenko might try and lead it a wee bit, just to kind of see what Rigo is going to kind of offer in terms of kind of attack and stuff, especially with the left hand, and then try and work it out for there. Prediction wise, I'm going to I'm thinking this is going to be points written all over it, actually. But there's some part of me really thinks we might get a late stoppage in that, but I'm going to kind of stick safety first, maybe go Lomachenko on points, 4 or 5, 6 rounds clear. Probably be quite close early doors. Again, as I say, just with Loma maybe kind of looking to see how Rigo's going to approach the fight and stuff, and maybe just see how, maybe start pressing the action. But, one thing that you notice as well is if Loma does put the pressure on Rigo likes to fight his own pace, and if you let him if you let him dictate it his own distance, so if you kind of come forward and you kind of if you let Rigo tee off and you feel that power, you're going to be kind of hesitant and coming forward. I think that's what Loma's going to have to do. He's going to have to see what he's going to do and then kind of take it from there. With no Rigo, he have no gas, I don't think. But if you make him fight at a pace, he is 37, maybe slightly older than that now. He likes to smoke a cigarette here and there. Bit of a party boy, for what I understand. Likes to get his dick wet. So you just don't know if he's maybe there to be taken now. But it's a fight we need to see happen. People were calling for it for years ago. If you are a true kind of boxing fan, I think you would want to see this fight. And people shit on it and stuff like that. I guarantee what's going to happen here. The people shit on this fight, if Lomachenko comes out and blasts him away or dominates it, they're going to be, see, I fucking told you. See, if this fight's fucking close or Rigo wins it, it's going to be fucking Lomachenko is overrated and stuff like that. All the people were saying that, this fight's shite and that, there'll not even be anywhere to be seen if Rigo wins this fight. Again, as I say, some of the great fighters in history have done it in the past, have stepped up 2-3 weight divisions and showed their class and that. If Rigo is what we think he is and is the real deal, he'll make it a fight. If he doesn't, then so be it. He's just probably just a step too far from him. But I think Lomachenko will do the business and do it quite in the end comfortably on points.
I think you make a good point there, Andy, because what I'm hoping is that we've seen obviously Rigo coasting against guys like Joseph Agbeko, Drian Francisco. There's a chance here, I think it will happen, that Lomachenko is going to put Rigo into a position, into the trenches, where it's going to be sink or swim. He's going to have to fight. He has no other option. He's going to have to pull it out. And I think if Rigo manages to pull out something and go toe-to-toe, this could be something really special. I think Rigo is, he's really going to have to go to a dark place.
I've not really seen him. Well, have we seen him go to a dark place? Maybe the big Japanese guy that he fought. He dominated Donaire. Yeah. I've never really kind of seen Rigo really kind of in distress, any way, shape, or form. Okay, he's been dropped a couple of times and stuff, but against Yamagasa, he got up, he just absolutely obliterated the guy. The guy had a face like a bag of spanners. The Donaire knockdown, I thought was. I remember right, if it was maybe quite kind of borderline, maybe a slip or whatever.
He does get knocked down, didn't what do you call him? The guy who beat Bernard Dunn, Ricardo Cordoba, knocked him down with a body shot as well, I think, didn't they?
He might have done, mate. That was not the one that was on the Pacquiao Margarito undercard. I remember. Some people are actually saying that he maybe might have even lost that fight, but then there was the rumour going about that his son was seriously ill in Cuba, and he obviously couldn't go back and see them and stuff like that. His mum might have died or whatever, and that type of thing. At the end of the day, Rigo's had regardless of having a hard career, obviously he's had a lot of amateur fights and stuff. He's taken up a fair bit of damage, but personally, you just wonder, how that guy actually kind of goes about things, because obviously he's not got his family, he's not got his wife, not got his 2 kids and stuff like that. Okay, he started afresh over here and that, but if as you say, he is really going to get tested here. And again, as I say, if Lomachenko is kind of darting to side, in and out and stuff like that, you just wondering, can he pull the trigger? Can he get that left hand off and just kind of make Lomachenko think twice? But as I say, as you say, and what I say as well, is if Lomachenko allows Rigo to fight his own pace, it's definitely a distance fight, and it's definitely going to be one that could end up stinking the joint out and stuff. But at the end of the day, Rigo has called this fight out. He has asked for the mountain to come to him, and he's basically got the fight that he's asked for, so he better not shit up the bed now. Yeah. He has got to step up now and deliver, because he's fought your James Dickens, your Moses Flores, your Yamagasas, your Franciscos, all that sort of stuff. Who are these guys? Step up now, Rigo. You've called the fight, you've got it now. People are going to shit on the weight divisions, all that sort of stuff. At the end of the day, this is the fight that I want to see. I wanted to see this fight for day dot since I turned pro, and now we're getting it. So don't shit on it, back it, and see how it goes. But Rigo will need to step up here, I guarantee it.
Yeah, well said from Andy. I completely agree. Marvelous Mendo jumped in with his own 2 pence worth on Facebook. He said the Rigo-Loma fight is definitely one of those I don't know what it will look like fights. Will they produce a classic or cancel each other out to a boring decision? I don't think power is the decisive factor, but bravery will be. There's not much not to like about this fight, Rob, to be honest with you. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't care about the weight and all that, what people are saying. I think Rigo has talked himself into it for a reason, and he's ready to put his balls on the line next week. You know, you've got Olympic medalists here, you've got pound for pound claimants, you've got world champions, the best against the best of this boxing generation. I don't want to go all Seb on you, Rob, but I'm just thinking of things you're going to have on display next week. You've got elite skills, ring IQ, technical moves, traps, feints, speed, movement, experience and excellence of the art of combat. Are you going to sit back and enjoy the technical brilliance that's going to be happening on December the 9th, or you think it's going to be a bit of a shitfest?
No, I was actually talking to some boxing heads last night. I was at a party, and I was talking to some boxing heads, and one of them said, you know, it's got the makings of a boring fight, and I kind of disagree. Like, I think I'm with the consensus. Like, I think Lomachenko's going to lead. I think Lomachenko is as arrogant and confident in his own belief that he believes he's going to go and toy with Rigo. Like, so I think he's going to go and try and lead the fight, and in turn, that's going to bring out the best in Rigo. I've been thinking about it all week, and the more I think about it, the harder I'm finding a way for Rigo to win the fight. Like, I think that, you know, the Donaire fight, what's that? That's nearly 6 years ago now, isn't it? Like, and I think he's been, on the times he's been dropped, all right. I think the Cordoba one came at a time when he was even early in his career getting criticized for being boring a little bit, not leading. So he was trying to be more on the front foot in that fight. And I remember he kind of walked onto one and then immediately switched back to his own style and basically kind of you know, went from there. Like, but against Donaire, the knockdown kind of came off that pirouette he does. And the same against the Japanese guy. He was doing that kind of pirouette. Granted, the Japanese guy was a monster compared to him, but he has shown, I guess signs against bigger guys that he at least can be dropped, even though you're really reaching for a chink in his armor, like, because he's amazing. And I hope he can do it, but I can't see it really. I think Lomachenko might even dominate him a little bit. I think Lomachenko will be looking to finish him. Like, I think he wants to put a stamp on it and say who's the greatest amateur and who's in and shine in the pros. Like, Lomachenko, really, the way they're marketing him, like, it's a pity for me as a fan of Rigo that he has to be in his pad, because I think they're really trying to push him as the next big star. Like, you're seeing him, he's kind of going viral as the Matrix. You've got guys talking about him that don't really know about, that definitely weren't talking about Rigondeaux, and that don't really know about any boxers, but they know about Lomachenko with his tennis ball routines and all this. Like, so I think he'll be looking to stop Rigo, or try to stop him anyway. But hopefully, I'm hoping that Rigondeaux can do it, but I can't see it really.
That was an interesting word you said there, Rob, was the word arrogance. When I met Loma in Berlin a couple of months back, I certainly got that. He's no dripping off him, shall we say. He's no like arrogant, like you said, like your Floyd Mayweather or your fucking Adrian Bruners. He's just got that kind of that air about him. You know, I am that good. And I just think, as you say, that arrogance, you know, he's going to want to go in there and he's going to want to try and put that on Rigo to prove once and for all that shit talking that. But as I say, it was just interesting you came up with that word, because that's what I kind of thought when I first met him and stuff. And you always kind of, when you meet somebody for the first time and that, you always kind of try to kind of get a vibe from him and stuff. And that was the vibe that I got. It was the first thing that came to my mind was kind of like a kind of arrogance to him.
You couldn't kind of see it early in his career because his English wasn't as good. But I think the more you speak in English and you're starting to see and hear his like sarcasm and kind of see it coming out in him, like, you think, you know, he believes like he's levels above the fellas he's fighting, and he is, like, and that's why you see him toying and he gets a little bit nasty now in the ring a little bit as well. Like, I think he's going to try and do that to Rigo, like, and Rigo is going to be up for it. Like, he looks bulky, but I just think the weight and the age is just too big an ask against the guy, like, who we probably haven't seen anyone like in a long time, you know what I mean? So even, and you could say vice versa too.
I'm willing to be wrong as usual. I make a lot of stupid predictions and get a lot wrong. I really don't know exactly what to expect from this fight, but my gut tells me that Rigondeaux for the first 5 or 6 rounds could be a hell of a lot more competitive than people are thinking. I really think he could be not putting it on Lomachenko or pushing him back or hurting him or anything, but I think it could be a damn fine competitive fight, Ozzy, after about 6 or 7 rounds, and Rigo can be really in there, throwing and landing, and maybe people think a surprise could be on the cards. But then, excuse me, as the fight starts to go down the stretch, Loma's size, his speed, his engine starts to take over, and by the end of it, Rigondeaux's starting to feel a little bit sorry for himself as he concedes a unanimous decision loss around the sort of 117-11, maybe even 118, 110 region. But definitely I can see Rigo doing okay in this fight, better than people expect, but I could fall on my arse with this one.
No, I agree to be honest. I mean, Rigondeaux's excellent, and he's got the skills to cause problems for anybody. Now, obviously, you mentioned the size and things like that, and it's something you can't ignore because it will be. You would think it is a factor. Hyde, who used to manage Rigondeaux, and I think he says he only walks around at like 120 pounds or something like that. So he's a small man in general, like, and to be honest, I mean, I don't think he'll look to weigh in. He'll weigh in just a bit heavy. Like, obviously, I mean, have a pint of water and it'll put thingy on. I mean, he eats before weigh-ins anyway, so I think he'll just look to do that. But excellent, and it's going to be interesting to see how that will do him in the fight. I do think, for example, pound for pound, I do think Rigondeaux's a harder hitter. I think like Lomachenko wears his opponents down. He's not, like your one punch KO. Whereas Rigondeaux, he's shown that he can hurt people. I mean, I know it's Jazza Dickens, but he broke his jaw with one shot. He's dropped people before he stopped people. But I do think it will be competitive. Get on and go later into the rounds. I do think he probably will. It'll just be too much for him, really. But I agree with what Andy said. He has called for this for a long time now. So it's actually quite good that it is happening. No, I mean, I don't know who runs his Twitter, but Rigondeaux can barely speak a word of English. And his Twitter account is all guns blazing, all mouth. It's absolutely brilliant. So it's actually done. It's like they're trying to PR him now, when it's it's towards the back end of his career, because no one will touch him because he doesn't really offer anything, does he? I mean, obviously he struggled at Super Bantam, like Frampton went away, Quigg, all the bullshit, or there's just not the money there. So he's going chasing the big fight. I mean, what a story it would be if he did cause the upset.
Be unbelievable.
Yeah, it'd be
Absolutely
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
Absolutely unbelievable. And it just depends how much the size can do. I don't really know what to expect. I can't work out whether it'll be like an absolute tear up, or they will cancel each other out and it'll be a snowfest and I'll fall asleep watching it.
I was mad that Frampton fight never happened. That Kyle really didn't bang the drum to make that happen. I know, like, I really wanted him to be like, no, I remember him saying in an interview, and Kyle kind of gets a pass, I guess, because we're all very fond of him, and not that, but just in general in the public here and in the UK, like, but to me, I think he should have been knocking the door down to fight Rigondeaux to prove who was the best in the world, like, you know what I mean? So,
I'll never forget fucking Leo Santa Cruz Control demanding $3 million to fight Rigo.
that was a joke.
Of all people, $3 million to fight Rigo. Are you
he even changed promoters. He was so desperate to avoid that fight.
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
It's frustrating though. Like, there's too much focus on the O sometimes. Like, no one would look at you and think, "Oh, well, you lost to Rigondeaux." He's an alien. He's unbelievable, and it's like there's nothing wrong with losing once because you can still come back, can't you? And it's like, it's a shame that those fights didn't happen. So he's obviously gone chasing for it. He's mouthed off. It's happening. And I think it's one that you've just got to look forward to. What's the point in slagging it? People can say, I've seen like some people say it's just like it's a one-sided mismatch, etc. It shouldn't be happening. Some people have even said it's not safe and things like that. But I, for one, I'm looking forward to it. And like I say, what a story it would be if it does cause the upset.
It's real old school stuff as well, like, you know what I mean? It's like Stanley Ketchum and all that, just moving up, you know what I mean? Because this is a guy that can make 118, no problem, like, you know what I mean? Or 112, he could probably, you know what I mean? He could probably operate lower, like, he's walking around 120 pounds or so, like, to go to take on the weight that he's taking on, like, it's such a significant jump to fight the guy that he's fighting, like, he has to have balls of steel, and he has to have been right when he was calling out Santa Cruz. He should have probably made more of a big deal of it though. And come to Frampton and come to his fights and come to Santa Cruz's fights and really really get the English translator on that, like, tip that they're on now, like, that's kind of got people more interested in as it goes on. But yeah, be unbelievable. I hope he does it, man.
It's what I mean. The PR in him late in his career, like basic things like social media. It's like it's come a few years too late. Like you said, Rob, he should have just like flown over and gone sat ringside for the fights. Try and force them, make people know you are, get people talking. One fight I would like to see after this, I'd love to see Tete in with Rigondeaux. Excellent as well. Tete is massive, and I'm sure they can come to it. I mean, Well, it wouldn't even matter. Rigondeaux can make bantamweight. Like, I'd love to see that next year. I'd love to see that. And I've worked together, and it was recently as well. So it's one fight that I would happily see. I'd love to see next year. It can't happen for whatever reason.
Last but by no means least, Gabe, no bullshit questions from me. Just go straight ahead. Break this down with your usual lyrical eminence. Tell me about Lomachenko, Rigondeaux. Who you got and how's it going to play out, Gabe?
I'm going to go with Rigondeaux. I'm going to pick, I've been a supporter of this guy since he came in, and I'm not going to start wavering now just because he's going up and facing a big challenge. God knows what he can do. His opponent knows what he can do. There's no gray areas in this fight because we have both guys that know what they're capable of. They know what each other is capable of, and they're both very skilled professionals. They both have their own unique styles, and I think that's something that you have to add into the equation whenever you're looking at this fight. I mean, you can say quickness. Well, if you're talking about one punch, power, quickness, Rigondeaux. But if you're talking about consistent hand speed combination quickness, Lomachenko. So there's different aspects of each different part that you want to analyze. You can break it down 150,000 ways, and you're going to come out at the end the same way all the other guys have said, with a very unclear picture of how this fight's going to play out. The only thing that I can say about the fight is that you have to tune in. I mean, this is just going to be one of the phenomenal fights in a long time that we've been able to see. No bullshit marination, no terrible promoters getting in the way. It's time to go. We got two of the best guys in the game. One of them stepping up a big jump in class. Weight class to try to do the job. And so because I've been a backer of Rigondeaux, that's why I'm taking him, for no other reason. I'm in the same position as Rob whenever he says that he has a hard time seeing how Rigondeaux is going to do it. I'll tell you what, if you were a Bernard Hopkins watcher for the longest time, you saw a guy that controlled the pace. That was one thing he did as he got older, and it was very apparent through a lot of the fights that he had later in his career. He controlled the pace. The last one I really recall being really interested in that particular aspect was when he fought John Pascal 2 times. He pulled Pascal's. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying he mugged him. B-Hop mugged him both nights. He gave him an old man treatment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you know what he did really was interesting that kept the fight in his favor was he controlled Pascal's output. And he didn't just do that to Jean Pascal. He did that to a lot of other guys too. So really, whenever you're talking about the one aspect of the game where Rigondeaux can win it will be if he's able to control the pace of that fight. I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing he can possibly do and to turn the fight in his favor. If he's able to do that, then I think that we're going to see maybe a slower paced fight than maybe some of us are hoping for. But I think in a lot of ways it's going to resemble the an air fight in regards to how the pace of the fight. There was spots and then kind of a little bit of lulls and then spots and then lulls where every time you get into a back and forth moment, there's the possibility, the very real possibility that either guy's going to win the fight right there and right there. So I think it's going to be a lot of back and forth. And in the end, I just think Rigondeaux is going to figure out how to control the pace and keep Lomachenko's output down. If he doesn't, he's going to be in for a hell of a night. And we may see him have to pull a dog out that he's never showed us before because he's never really been that uncomfortable in any fight. In the Amagasa fight, he got hurt twice, and he still never looked seriously out of sorts. I mean, he always looked like he was right there, still ready to go. And I don't think Lomachenko has the power to really hurt him badly enough. So I don't think he's going to respect that aspect. So I think you're gonna see him punching a little bit more, possibly with Lomachenko instead of trying to just counter off. Of course, another thing that you can look at is who gets off first, because that's gonna be a big factor, is who gets off first, because whenever one of these guys gets off, the other one's going to be trying to avoid it. You know, you have both of them trying to counterpunch. They just do it in different ways, where Lomachenko will counterpunch with multiple punches, and Rigondeaux will counterpunch with one big, powerful, straight shot most of the time. And that's his big money maker. And maybe they cancel both of those things out. You know, what happens? I mean, this is such a great fight. I think you guys have already nailed this one. It's such a great fight. I'm really just excited about this one, and you know, I can't wait. I'm gonna have a hell of a week waiting till Saturday for it to get here.
I was just gonna say something. Sorry to be jumping in all the time, but I was just gonna say, you made me think of something there, Gabe, that I hadn't even factored into it when I was thinking about it in the build-up. When B-Hop on the first night when he fought Pascal, how he got back into the fight after the knockdowns was he started going to the body. And Richardson was saying to him all night, keep making those investments, and he was sucking the life out of Pascal, and then he started to have his way with him. And that was how he controlled the pace. I'm just wondering, is it possible, what the panel think of, like, is there a possibility here of either finishing each other with a body shot? We've seen Rigondeaux do it before to Willie Casey. We've seen Lomachenko punish fellas to the body. So I don't know, that might play a factor, like if they're in close.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. That is a great point. And I think both of these guys are smart enough to know that that is a place to go. And like you said, we've seen both of them do the job before. Have we seen both of them take it before? Salido did that consistently in his fight with Lomachenko. And so I think that whenever you bring that fact up, I think that, you know, if Rigo is smart enough to take a look at tape and see what works and what doesn't work, and get a little bit of an idea from other folks, then I think that's somewhere where he's definitely going to go. I hope he does. I hope we see a lot of action. And if he does, that could be another ticket, because that'll slow Lomachenko down enough to where maybe he can control the pace a little bit better.
Yeah, I think Gabe makes some good points. As outrageous as it would be for Rigondeaux to win, I think we don't want to get caught in a bubble either. You know, the upsets can happen. Everyone, well, a lot of people thought Klitschko was going to beat Fury. We thought that Bellew was going to get knocked out cold by McCrory. Nobody expected Bellew to beat David Haye. You just don't know what's going to go on in there. So I agree with you, Gabe. I definitely think there's a chance that Rigo can pull it off, even though I am picking Lomachenko, and I would be surprised if Rigo did it. It's not without the realms of possibility, Gabe.
I would like to say that. I don't think it's an upset if he wins. I don't think it's an upset at all because of everything that he's capable of. Certainly in my mind, I don't think it's an upset, and I think it goes right along with what Andy says. You know, people are going to shit all over Lomachenko no matter what happens. There'll be a lot of people that say, well, it was the weight. He won't get any credit for it. He won't get any credit at all for winning. And if he loses, then like Andy said, he's going to be overrated. I just don't see a way where it ends favorably as it should for Lomachenko. This is a phenomenal fight, like Andy said, and you just have to look at it for what it is. Two great fighters. I don't think the size difference is going to be that much on fight night. I think Rigondeaux is going to have built up a little bit. I think it'll be noticeable, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as a lot of people are thinking it will be. I think it's going to be pretty close.
Rob, you threw a question in there into the chat. I'm going to hit you with it then. The winner of the fight, pound for pound, number one?
Especially Rigo's case.
I think if Rigo wins, I think if Rigo wins, he has a legitimate shot to be pound for pound number one. I think if Lomachenko wins, it's more expected that he should win with the size difference alone, and just how technically gifted he is. So, but if Rigo was to win, man, he'd be pound for pound number one, and it would be some story. He'd be finally vindicated after everyone ducking him for years. Like,
I'm gonna go as far as say he will be number one pound for pound when he wins. I'm confident. I'm gonna take Rigondeaux with that kind of statement.
No messing about from Gabe. Let's close this one out with a question from Danny Young. I'm going to ask each man their opinions on this one. Danny has said, with Lomachenko only having had 10 fights, if he beats Rigo, how good can he go on to become? And what weights can he realistically move up and win in? So let's have a look at this then. I'll start with you, Rob, and I'll hit you with the current weight that he's at, super featherweight, junior lightweight. He's the WBO champion. So who've we got around this weight then, Rob? We've got Miguel Berchelt, Salido, who's already fought, Vargas, guys like Alberto Mercado. not really the highest caliber of opponents, so you can expect him to move up. But looking at those guys currently at super featherweight, where's Lomachenko going to go if he beats Rigo? Who will he fight? And you'd expect him to clean up at that weight, wouldn't you?
I think he can go up. I think he could definitely go up and still beat guys being a smaller guy. Like, he's just technically that gifted. So if he wins, I think, and even if he loses, I think there's fights out there for him. If he loses, I'd say he's going to look for a rematch because he's that kind of guy. But the sky's the limit for him, really. He's marketable. They like him in the States. He does things that people would tune in to watch. He's going to be on free TV now. So, I mean, I would like to see him probably fight Linares maybe. Even at that weight, I think he could compete. The Mikey Garcia fight's not going to happen. I think I would have loved to see that fight. If they could have made that, they were talking about that at one stage. But I think he could go up. Like, I think he could definitely go up, and I mean, maybe he gets AB one day.
Maybe. Andy, okay, let's talk about lightweight then. Loma manages to beat everybody at super featherweight, goes up to lightweight. We've mentioned Garcia. Unlikely that'll happen, but just, if it did, it'd be interesting. Linares. We've got the likes of Luke Campbell, Gervonta Davis, Robert Easter Jr. What type of damage and what type of victories can Lomachenko seek to do at lightweight?
Well, I think it really depends how long he's going to spend at 130. I agree with most of what the guys are saying. I think he would pick up the rest of the titles. I think Burchell would. I think he's really big for the weight, so it would be a real kind of good test to see how he kind of go up against a bigger guy, because lightweight is obviously, it's up by an extra 5 pounds. He's probably more fighting his more natural weight there. He's probably not maybe shedding a few pounds here or there and that, but I think 140 would probably be his absolute ceiling, and then you're kind of like, he's relying really on his athleticism and his skills after that. At lightweight, again, it really depends who's still going to be around there when and if he goes up in weight. Say Linares and Garcia are still there. Again, as Rob says, I don't know if that Garcia fight's even possible, especially with how Garcia's kind of like doing it with TV deal. Beltran, if he's moving up in weight, that would probably be like maybe punching a big heavy bag for him. But still, again, it's a big fella he's fighting there. As you say, Campbell, tall, lengthy fella, but he's got a lot to aim at. I think he would really kind of work at his body. I like to see the Davis fight. Just because obviously, again, Davis is still kind of like one of these fighters, and it's getting a wee bit of hype and that, but he's not really kind of like stepping up against anybody. At the minute, again, it really depends when he moves up in weight, but damage-wise, I think he would definitely pick up a title. And again, it really depends who's still kind of floating about there, if he's going to kind of clean up and stuff. I'm not going to make any predictions at the minute, because again, I think if he does move up in weight, I think he'll maybe get a few tune-up fights at the weight, see how he goes and that, and then maybe go for a title after that. Obviously, I think it'll be the WBO route again. He'll probably go down, so they might. I don't know if they might try and get Verdejo, finally get him a world title fight, and maybe kind of put him in with Lomachenko. But again, we've seen what Verdejo's been all about recently. He's kind of like priced himself out of fights and stuff.
I think he's done, Andy. I don't think he's going to be any good.
I think that's the reason why he's not fighting, because he's demanding too much money. And again, as you said, I think the hands are a real problem for him. I know that Arakawa, I think he maybe had a fight recently as well. Paulos Moses, I think Burns beat him. 4 or 5 years ago, I think.
Years ago.
I've never seen this Roman Andraev, and again, Beltran's floating about their number one. So, again, I think he would pick up against the lower tier guys. I think he would actually dominate them. Against the kind of champs, Linares, I love to see that fight. I think it'll be a really great, good fight, good technical battle. Again, I think he'd definitely pick up a title, maybe unify a few of them, but again, it really depends who's left up there when he does move up.
That's the thing, Ozzy. I'm looking up at lightweight, and there's a few good names that you could put Lomachenko in, but I wouldn't rule him out winning a title or two, even up at 140. You're looking at the upper echelons of the division with Crawford moving out. You've got guys like Barthélemy, Amir Imam, who's been exposed, Troyanovsky, Yigit, who we saw boxing last night. You've got the likes of Julius Indongo floating about, Morris Hooker. I mean, hardly inspiring names, are they? You could see Lomachenko floating through 4 or 5 of them, guys.
Yeah, definitely. The WBO lightweight title's vacant at the moment. So if he won this, depending on who the opponent was, you've seen it with the WBO before. If the champions move up, they get installed in the number 1 spot, like for a vacant title. But again, it would depend on the opponent, and obviously the cash. Again, I think 140 is his limit. There's only so far he can go until the weight is a massive issue. Now, I remember Terry Flanagan speaking about this fight. Oh, he said he'd love to get in with Lomachenko, and Flanagan's massive. So that'd be interesting. I think that's obviously, I mean, whether that'd ever happen, that'd be further down the line. But he's definitely got the ability to go up to lightweight and win. Again, like you said, there's not really any inspiring names on the world scene at light welter. So again, I wouldn't be shocked to see him go and win a title at that weight. But 147, I just think that's too much of a jump. I mean, what's he at now? 117 pounds. That
it's a lot, isn't it?
It's a hell of a lot, that, and I don't think it's realistic more than anything.
Would they do it though? Do you think he would do it? Again, going back to that arrogance thing, if he goes on a couple of weight divisions and stuff, undefeated, a couple of good wins, he might.
Oh yeah, he's definitely. He thinks he thinks he can beat anybody, doesn't he? So it wouldn't surprise me. I would only look at that maybe in like 18 months or so though. Now I wouldn't look at it. Don't see him going to 147 anytime soon. I think it'd be a little while off yet. But yeah, I'd love to see like the Gervonta Davis fight. I think I'd like to see that. But he's got weight issues himself, hasn't he? He can't make it at the moment. And like you say with Beltran, it'd be quite difficult because he's massive for lightweight. He could be like punching a big heavy bag. But no, it would be. He's world class, so of course he'll go through the weights and pick up belts. He's well backed. He's liked. People watch him. Therefore, you've got the pulling power to basically box who you want, don't you?
Gabriel, final word to you before we move on to Bellew of the Weeks and get out of here. Future prospects for Lomachenko moving up and possible names you'd like to see him fight?
Julius Ndongo, if he goes all the way up to 140. I think as of right now, that would probably be a fun fight to see. I know some of us haven't seen maybe as much of Ndongo as we have of other fighters. But I think that would be a good one.
He got iced off Crawford though.
Yeah, but I mean, I think at the expense of moving up in weight, it would maybe be a little bit better of a fight. I don't think it's. I don't know. I mean, I just have a hard time seeing him moving up that much. I think. I don't know. Maybe just because I have a hard time seeing it. I mean, you have guys like Francis Barthélemy up there at lightweight too, or excuse me, 140 pounds. That would be a good fight for him. I just don't know how far he'll move up though. I mean, how old is he? He's not a spring chicken anymore. I'm not saying he's old.
He's 29, isn't he?
29. What about a homecoming against Victor Postol?
That could be one. I didn't consider that. I haven't kept up with Postol since when's the last time I saw him fight?
Don't know if he's fought since Crawford, has he?
I don't know if I've seen him since then. I know that if he has, I didn't see it. That was the last one I recall. I don't know. I mean, really, when you're talking about 140, there's maybe a lack of clarity on that one because of I mean, Crawford pretty much cleaned everybody up and took everything there was to take from everyone there was. So I think at 140 pounds is kind of it's the weight class is kind of in a state of flux right now. Where there's not a whole lot of clarity there because it's so wide open. Have they even gotten any belt holders since Crawford dropped all of them? He's moved up to 147.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody's actually claimed any of those belts that he was holding at that time.
Not yet, but update, Gabe. Postol fought to come back in September 2017 against undefeated Jamshidbek Najmidinov in Kiev. Do you remember watching that one?
No, not a chance. But I think you guys covered it pretty well. I mean, I think all the things you guys mentioned is in terms of fighters that you'd like to see him face, or guys that I'd like to see him face. You could see him maybe fighting a maybe a Ricky Burns or someone somewhere in there, you know, a guy that used to be top-notch talent or people considered really good, and then who's kind of on the backside if they're still around. Not too much of that. I mean, he's going to have names on his resume. It's going to be either title holders or guys that were former title holders when he steps up, you know, those little first fights at the new weight kind of scenarios. But I mean, I think everything everyone else is talked about already will be good fights to see him in. You know, my question is just how far he'll move up. I just don't see him moving up a whole lot. I don't think he'll get to 147, and if he does, I'll be surprised.
Okay, thanks, Gabe. Let's do the Bellew of the week and then get out of here for another evening.
It's going to happen, mate. We're going to do it. And when we do it, it's going to be vicious, mate. I ain't a man dregsing with the weights. I ain't a man taking the last ounces of my soul on the scales. I've done that before. I ain't doing it no more. You can say what you want, or Bellew's not in shape, Bellew looks fleshy at the weight. Bellew's just iced a man who's never been done before. Bellew's just feels in absolutely fantastic shape. Bellew doesn't lose 2.5 stone no more. It's time for a camp. Bellew goes to the gym now, 15 stone, and just cuts 10 pounds, nice and easy. I fought Nathan Cleverly in my 16th fight, 15 fight novice. I'd fought, the best person I fought was Paul McKenzie at British title level. I am now, it's that 25, it's that 26 fights. I've fought some of the best. I've fought the best fighter in the world in my weight class. One of the biggest pound-for-pound punchers in the world. I've beat guys like Isaac Chilemba, world-ranked guys. Let's see who beats Isaac Chilemba. I've beat renowned punchers, Ederson Miranda. I'm not saying he was the best Ederson Miranda. I'm just saying I've beat these guys. Who's he beat? Okay, everyone's saying, well, Tony, he did beat you. He beat a guy who basically got a fight because he opened his mouth at a press conference and he sells a shitload of ticket to the Echo Arena. That's why I got that fight. Everybody thought he was going to smash me. Everyone involved with that fight thought he was going to smash me. But when he went to within an inch of losing, and it's a decision that could have been either way, he doesn't want to come near me after it. That's why he couldn't answer the question then when I said it in front of him. Just answer me this: why wouldn't you take the rematch immediately? Do you know what he said? I think he was saying what that was train station was. That long word. I couldn't understand what he was saying. I just answered the simple question: why wouldn't you fight me the minute after the rematch happened? He wouldn't fight me because he believed he was going to knock me out, and he just believed he was going to beat me up. And that's all I've got to say about that. Right, let's do it right now. Now you fucking rat.
Tony nearly left us a bit early there. Bellew of the week theme, Andy. They'll be happy with that. A little bit of treat for the listeners.
Aye, they've been getting a lot of complaints there the last 6 months, maybe a year and a bit or whatever, and that good to make it a wee return there.
Yep.
Treat for the listeners.
Good to hear from Tony.
You stick it on Patreon, see if we can get some money made off that.
Tony would probably sue us. Well, let's get on with these. I've got a few myself and whatever the guys have got. It's 10:20, so we don't want to last for too much longer. Rick Ramos has been nominated, first of all. He's talking about the Katie Taylor fight coming up. The fight for respect, says Rick. This is bigger than both fighters. This is about putting female boxing on the map. This will be the modern-day Leonard versus Duran, I promise you. He then tagged in Eddie and Matchroom Boxing. Goulart-Tista has nominated Barry Scott. Barry says, for me, Eubank Jr. beats his dad and Nigel Benn at their best. Only my opinion, though. Okay, Barry. Eddie Hearn, or the fake Eddie Hearn account, Eddie Herm, says, we have a fight. Special K. Brook will make his move up to super welterweight to take on fellow Brit Sam Eggington in a mouth-watering clash. February the 3rd, Wembley Arena, live on Sky Sports pay-per-view. This reeled in quite a few people. I was alerted to Darren Rowlands. How the hell can this be pay-per-view, says Darren. Mickey Davis, wow, what a backward step for Special Kell Brook. And also Tony Bellew, who liked the fake tweet. Eddie Hearn himself has been talking about Josh Kelly and Conor Benn. Kigo jumped in. You get some stick, Eddie, but you keep producing. What a card. Katie the Irish Warrior and now Conor Benn. Take my money, he says. Chad Hogan always nominates quite a few. He's nominated Nicolo Pavesi. Heroin, a hell of a drug, he says. Nicolo was saying, by far the best promoter in the world at the moment is Eddie. I live in Milan, and once a year I come to a Matchroom event. Good matchmaking, great atmosphere. UK fans are lucky. And then a little shamrock.
I saw that, by the way. That was the ultimate casual tweet.
Good old Nicolo. Will you not be going to a Matchroom show with him anytime soon, Andy?
I've not been to a match from show in a while, mate. I'd need to think which was the last one I went to. It's been that long ago. That might be the last Burns fight, actually. Who? No, I wasn't at Crawler. The fight in Dongo, that's what it was. The only reason I went is because I got a press pass last minute.
Fair play. Bennett Jakianov was the last one I went to. Brian has nominated Brad Nickel. Brad says, David Price will beat Tyson Fury now. People will see how shit Fury actually is when Price comes back. Okay, then. Value of the Week nomination for Michael Frayne for, this Dave Higgins, this New Zealand promoter. Quite the character, this guy. According to Michael Benson, in an interview with Stuff NZ, Stuff New Zealand, promoter Dave Higgins suggested Barcelona's Camp Nou as a possible venue for Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker. Quite the character, this Mr. Higgins,
good
isn't
stuff. That's good stuff he's on, eh?
Yeah, he is. We should try and get him on here, shouldn't we?
No, that would be car crash. I would need to try it at least, eh?
Oh, we might try and get him on. Tweet Dave Higgins and tell him to come on.
That's going to be a fucking nightmare, actually, because of the fucking time difference. But I will need to try and make that one happen.
That'll be the Sunday when we do the Nuthouse at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
I was waiting to say, are they tied up with Lucas Brown in any way? I've got a contact at Lucas's Brown team. I might be able to speak to him. Is it Matt Clark, his name is, I think?
That's right, yeah, that's right. And
maybe speak to him.
Yep, get on it. Nosmo King has nominated Showtime Boxing. Showtime are pushing this James DeGale, Lee Selby card that's coming up, and apparently they're fighting each other. Live stream, Showtime Boxing, James DeGale versus Lee Selby. Quite a few people seem to have fallen for that one. Philip Walcock has nominated Dean Henwood. The guru himself was talking about the greatest British fighters of all time. Dean Henwood said, Hatton, Lewis, Froch, Hamed, Eubank, Hay, Ben, Fury, and I'd even put AJ already above Calzaghe. AJ already above Calzaghe. Oh dear. The Ultimate MF says, athletes should be able to take PEDs. Why, says Steve Chapman? Well, says the Ultimate MF, because many of them are safe. They help you recover, get hurt less, and be able to compete when you are older. Victor Conti knows this. He's just playing politics. Value of the Week, says Danny Barbato. What do you think? Let them all eat cake. Let them all use PEDs, aren't they?
Yep, I think so. I think if you want to see people at their absolute, mutant best, sign them up for that shit, man. I mean, some of the fights in the 80s must have been ripped right after skulls.
Probably were. Stavern's Jiggly Tits has nominated Matt White. Matt White says, Andrew Flintoff was legit. If he'd carried on boxing, I think he could easily have won the British title. Just didn't have enough love for the sport. If you look at the likes of Sexton, Sprott, Allen, etc., he could definitely have beaten them. Thanks to Stavern's Jiggly Tits for nominating that one. Gennady Govalev has been nominated by Johnny. Gennady says, superb from Big Pricey, bags of stamina, light on his feet, and you can see he still has his ferocious power. Surely Fury next if he will take it. Price to KO Tyson inside 3. I sense Mr. Govalev might be on the troll there. Friend of mine, Rory McGonigal, has nominated Ashley Theophane for beating a Georgian for the German international title. We mentioned that one earlier, Andy. Happy to nominate Ashley.
Aye, definitely, mate. He's above British level.
Definitely is. Dean Glover has nominated Tony Bellew. Tony says, good win for David Price tonight. So many new things going on for him and a lot to comprehend all in one night. I think he looks more composed and I expect to only see him improve from here. More importantly, I'm happy to see him winning again. Hashtag big truck. Hashtag big 2018. And while we've been on air, Rob Barnett has nominated Johnny Nelson for talking about the career of Miguel Cotto. I think Nelson's just a walking troll now. Nelson says about Cotto, his performance against Sergio Martinez was vintage. I'm sure plenty of people would pick the Margarito ones, but this was Cotto at his best. Martinez was a class smooth boxer who had emerged as a middleweight number 1. The fact that he should have been on a mobility scooter, not putting that into a factor or anything, Johnny? Johnny's on the troll, I think. Any nominations, Andy?
Aye, what about that one that Rob put up in the chat earlier on there? Rob, do you remember that one, mate? Javonte Davis and Devin Haney?
Yeah, that was going to be my only one, yeah.
Talk about that one, mate. Tell him about that one. Aye, it's fucking quality.
Basically, Devin Haney, I think, is at the Mayweather gym, but I think Floyd Sr. looked after Devin Haney, and them two supposedly had a spar, and according to Mayweather Sr., Devin Haney gave it to him. So they get into it on Instagram, and Haney makes some allusion to he's knocking out bombs in training or whatever. And Tank reacts to it. He said, if I tell sparring stories, boom, 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 Javante. So Tank reacts to it and says, basically, you're passing on STDs to people. And then Devin Haney goes back at him and he's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about because you've been running around with the boss's daughter and we all know she's underage. So he's alluding to this same girl, I guess, that Shakur Stevenson was into it with.
Yes.
Daughter that's allegedly tanking her friends. So they're playing this all out on social media. I haven't seen Tank answer back to this, but like this guy is only steps away from a Broner-like meltdown. Probably worse because I have a feeling he's going to get knocked out.
I said it too.
Yeah, I think he's going to get knocked out. Like, and I thought even after he came over, what was the guy? Williams, was it?
Was it Walsh?
Walsh, whatever. Williams was the other one. Walsh, like he comes over, smashes him up, like, and even then I thought he had this aura about him where he's got the entourage, he's got the Instagram page, he's got the chat, you know what I mean, charges or something. He's into it with Tevin Farmer the whole time. He's just. I don't think he has the mentality of a champion. I think he's got good attributes, but I think he's a step away from getting iced.
Are they roughly around about the same weight for that fight to happen?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Devin Haney's weighing.
Super lightweight. Might be a division apart. I want to see that one. I have got a couple of. What about Jim Lampley just for his performance here last night towards the end of the broadcast, and Eddie Hearn for his shit today, basically saying about he's knocked back Kalya Fai against Nayu Inoue, right? But apparently they agreed a deal to fight Roman Gonzalez, but the offer was too short to fight Inoue. That's pure pish. You know the reason why Eddie Hearn wanted to take that fight, don't you? It was just because he's seen a faded legend. Well, basically, a faded legend in Gonzalez, right? And then you claim that your Fai is the number one in the division, and he's got nobody to actually fucking proved it, right? So you're basically, put him in kind of same lines of like Kell Brook and stuff like that, number one welterweight in the world and stuff, and when he steps it up, what happens? He loses. They're really banking on Gonzalez being really kind of past it. So I think Eddie was talking about that fight, or they're trying to get an agreement made for February or March next year or something. And Gonzalez says he wasn't going to be ready, which is fair enough. But they have no intention of fighting Inoue. And see, to be honest, they're really kind of really chanced or pushing it for Gonzalez. They're going to have to pay good money to get him over here. And considering that your fight doesn't really kind of sell out a lot of shit, and that, how the hell is that going to even happen? He's got to stick it on a pay-per-view card, maybe an AJ one and stuff like that. And try and work it that way, but just no surprise for Hearn, man. And obviously he's got his fingers burnt again this week with Burnett and Tete. So it's just absolute major L's for Mr. Hearn this weekend.
Nomination for Hearn, major L's. Gabe, Aussie, any nominations before we pick?
Nope. I've got the WBC, who are allowing Luis Ortiz to continue to box despite failing another drugs test. So I think he's been installed as their mandatory or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Going to be banned off Dancing with the Stars for that as well.
Happy to nominate the WBC. Right, let's get our picks out the way. I'm going for Dave Higgins, the promoter. Maybe that'll scupper our chances, Andy, of getting him on, but we'll try anyway. Dave Higgins for me. What do you reckon, Andy?
It's good, but I just think because the L's he took this week and stuff and the blatant ducking by Mr. Eduardo Hearn, Mr. Pound Note himself, I'm going to go for Eddie.
Okay. Gabe, who are you going for?
I'll go with Eddie too.
Ozzy?
Edward Hearn.
Oh, looks like it could be a landslide. Rob?
Yeah, go and give it to Eddie, Quiff Richards.
Quiff Richards.
A little Lord Fauntleroy.
Congratulations, Eddie. You haven't been having much luck lately, but you won the Bellew of the Week. That must be worth a pat on the back, if nothing else. Right, let's finish up. Go over to Patreon. James Toney special on at the moment. That was why we played the James Toney clip at the top of the show. We got Milk Baby. Thought you would like that one. Also, like this video. Some wankers keep on disliking. I don't know who you are. 3 dislikes every time. Go fuck yourselves. Like this video. What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Jason Chukwu was mentioning the Floyd versus Ricky Hatton 10-year anniversary. It was around this time, wasn't it? I remember I was at Dudley Eastman on the same night. I haven't got time to get into that now, though, because it's 10:30, but thanks for mentioning that, Jason. Shout out to you. You're in the chat every week. Good man. Thank you to Andy Patterson. Thank you to Gabe. Thank you to Ozzy, Rob Kelly, Tommy the Guru Allen. I should thank him or not. He was sort of here. Jason McCrory as well. Thanks very much for coming on. We'll catch you all next week, guys. Bye.
Elves for Edward.
I got milk, baby.